Guardians TV, good guys win at 8-2. Ramirez had 3 hits in the game. Guardians win their 3rd straight. Rhys Hoskins, RBI double, drove in 2. Chase DeLauder also drove in a pair. Angel Martinez, pair of hits, including an RBI single, extends his hitting streak to 7 games. Brian Rocchio had a triple and scored 3 times. Slade Ciccone goes a season-high 7 in the 3rd innings, lodges 2 runs on 5 base hits. Guardians outfielder Angel Martinez named the American League's Player of the Week. Martinez was 7 of 19 at the plate with 4 homers, drove in 7. Martinez, the 3rd Guardian to win the honor this season, joining Chase DeLauder and Jose Ramirez. Cavaliers get their Eastern Conference Finals underway tonight. They're going to be in New York taking on the Knicks. Cavs finished a 7-game series against Detroit on Sunday. The Knicks have not played since May 10th, when New York completed a 4-game sweep of the 76ers. The Cavs dropped 2 of 3 to the Knicks during the regular season, including both games at the Garden. Meanwhile, last night, NBA playoffs, Western Conference Finals, Game 1, San Antonio wins at Oklahoma City, 122-115 in double overtime. Victor Wembanyama, 41 points, 24 rebounds. Spurs take the opener. Dylan Harper, 24 points, 11 boards, a franchise playoff record, 7 steals, including the regular season. The Spurs have now beaten the Thunder 5 of 6 times. In the loss, Oklahoma City, 9 games is done. Game 2 tomorrow night in OKC. You can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next, now for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Baseball, basketball, and the Browns. It's why you need the afternoon drive. Weekdays starting at 2. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
1 out, 6th inning. Guardians lead 4-1. And a line drive and a base hit into right field. That'll get another run home as Bazzana scores. Everybody else stops. Jose hammers it. Deep left field. Say goodnight. Jose is heating up, folks. 3 runs batted in tonight. A double and a homer. And a 4-game hitting streak with 8 hits. Chopper to second. Here comes Bazzana. Book it. The Guardians strike first.
We're not laden with superstars. We got a lot of young players with a lot of talent, and we're seeing that these last couple weeks, really the whole season. But it's those types of little things that really can flip a game for us.
Yeah, I thought our guys did a great job getting underneath. You know, you're going to get some flyouts when that happens, but you're also going to get some hard hit balls. You're also going to get, some balls in the gap like we did. And I thought we took our walks. That really put the pressure on them, and we got big hits. I mean, I think we were 7 for 9, runner on third, less than 2 tonight. And when you do that, you're going to win.
This is Cleveland Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of Guardians TV. Good morning.
31 runs over the last 4 games.
We have the what differential now? Runs differential. What is it?
Fourth best in the American League.
Lima is a maven of run differential. Good morning.
Yeah,
good to talk
over
to
the course of 162, it's oftentimes rather predictive.
Got the Eastern Conference Finals coming up tonight. We'll preview that coming up here in just a moment. There was a bit of an observation here over these last couple of days. Now the Guardians are how many games over 500 again?
5.
5 games over 500. How much do we lead the Central Division by still though?
2.
Oh, we're up to 2 now. Okay, got a little bit of breathing room there.
Widening the gap.
And the team in second is the White Sox.
You have faith in the White Sox to stay there? Well, who do you have faith to come up and take it from?
Nobody.
Schriffen. John Schriffen.
Well, Schriffen doesn't play for the team, and he's the play-by-play guy of the White Sox.
I think he's their most famous organizational member.
Is Schriffen?
Yeah.
Ozzie Gann.
He's only on TV, too. He does the post-game, doesn't he?
Put him in the cleanup spot.
Damn. Not Yoan Moncada anymore. Who the hell? I'm drawing a blank here. All right. Do you leave Detroit by the side of the road because of Tarek Skubal?
No.
Just asking. Okay.
No, I wouldn't go that far.
All right. You wouldn't go that far. So Detroit, Kansas City, Twins, anything at all.
Maybe the Royals.
Maybe it's still.
They're heading in the wrong direction.
Memorial Day is Monday, and you know the Memorial Day rule. You know who you are by Memorial Day.
I hate to.
But you didn't last year with us.
No, you
I
didn't.
hate to get too cocky because of the way things went last year. But
it's true.
But it's interesting.
Very good point.
Last year,
there's only one organization in the Central that can do it.
Yeah, by July, it was July, we were 15 and a half games back.
Yeah.
And we ended up making the postseason with one of the worst offenses you could ever have. Now we have like an average offense with the power surge over the last 3 weeks.
Look at Angel
Which
Martinez.
for Cleveland makes us one of the best offenses since the 90s.
Yes.
It changes everything.
Without a doubt. And it does. It was. I hated that it was rain delayed a little bit, but Slade Ciccone, stuck with it. 7 innings last night was fantastic. So good God, anytime you can get something out of him, which he has been better. He has been better. Certainly, that sounded terrible. He's the guy at the back of your rotation. You end up getting something really good out of him. You take that and you run. Excuse me, I didn't mean to be so personally nasty. I'm sure he's a nice enough guy. But there is a little bit of a feeling here before we start to really turn the page to the Knicks tonight. Chris Castellani, who is our friend, who used to be on Barstool. And the first time, I got to admit, was it last year or the year before that we got into it with Chris?
It was last year. During the transition from 15 down to winning the division.
Because Chris had said that Tarek Skubal was his favorite Detroit Tiger ever. And I go, That's ridiculous. It was, and I can't believe. Now, Chris backed it up. I still can't believe Tarek Skubal was his favorite Detroit Tiger ever. I think we're probably in the same age range. He looks like he's in his 30s. I don't mean to be mean. Maybe he's much younger than that. I don't know. But he's in his 30s. I imagine he is. And I'm like, wait a minute. You're telling me of all the Detroit Tigers that have come around, Tarek Skubal's your favorite Detroit Tiger ever. Now, he had brought up a couple of things that were like personally nice about Tarek Skubal and things like that. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, like they text each other.
And we had fun with it. He had fun with it, and we had fun with it. So it's like, okay, he's no enemy of ours. He did, though, because yesterday the Guardians cleaned the clocks of the Detroit Tigers last night, even after the delay. And then we know what they did in Game 7 with the Cavaliers and the Pistons as well. In that series where a lot of trash being talked from Detroit fans. It all got into my timeline yesterday.
Well, especially because they thought
the fallout.
Yeah, they thought they were going to win.
They
thought they were going to win the series after the first 2 games. I kind of thought so too. And then later in the series, after they won Game 6 in Cleveland, that was it. They thought, why even play Game 7?
But you get to enjoy it as a Cavs fan, and then the Cavs won by 31 in Detroit in Game 7, where the fans had left early, and all that was left was Cavs fans for like the last half of the fourth quarter.
Cleveland Dan Gilbert takeover.
Yeah, even more in the fourth quarter. But Chris Castellani, who nice guy, he kind of had a bit of a meltdown because, well, the Guardians beat the brakes off Detroit last night, and then we beat Detroit. The Cavs beat Detroit in a 7-game series in the Eastern Conference playoffs. And here's our good buddy Chris, formerly of Barstool, up there in Detroit.
I came on here and I told you guys what this team needed to do after the Skubal injury. I said, look, anybody who's expecting 10 wins in a row, you might want to turn off the TV for a while. There's a lot of baseball left to be played. You got to find a way to tread water. I know that they have the pieces to do it. I've seen them play relatively good baseball. I think that they were a game over 500 when it was announced that Tarek was getting that surgery. They are now, I believe, 2-11 since that news broke. And tonight was just, it was like somebody took everything that has frustrated me about the Cleveland-Detroit rivalry as it pertains to baseball over the last decade, put it in a blender, shot it up with steroids, and then just poured it on me. I was bathing in that like Scrooge McDuck. It was horrifying. This is worst case scenario. It's below worst case scenario. Whatever below, it's an atomic bomb dropping on my face. So, it's the cherry on top of the sundae is that it happened against Cleveland. Why wouldn't it?
Does it make you? It makes me feel. It makes me feel nostalgic for the old days, the mid 2000s, like 2006 through 2010. Like I'm starting to feel that feeling again about Detroit and about Cleveland, because it's like, okay, you met in the postseason the last couple of years in baseball. Now you're meeting again in the postseason in basketball. Like, it's fun. They're the neighbor right up there. And I told you for a while, I'm like, the sword's down. I don't have a rivalry with Detroit. And then people kept sending me nasty things that Detroit fans were sending. It's the internet. People say nasty things on the internet all the time. But it was kind of fun to see the rivalry back. I'm feeling nostalgic here.
And the fact that we right now are in command. Yeah. And, football is football, and we don't really have a big thing other than the old
We have the barge.
The barge
Yes.
that we used to have.
And old NFL championship games.
Yeah.
But other than that.
Yeah, but nothing. In fact, it felt like our fans were rooting for Detroit at times. For their
Lions?
football team.
Yes.
For the Lions.
Yes.
So, but then again, you remember, they're Michigan fans too. So you got to keep that in perspective.
But a lot of Michigan State fans as well.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, their flagship is in Detroit. Michigan State's is. For that matter, I think Michigan's is too. But either way, there are Michigan State fans. Do you have a problem with Michigan State?
No.
You're an Ohio State guy,
No,
so do you?
No, I haven't had much of a problem
so
with them in a long
it's only
time.
Michigan, right? Okay. But there are state fans up there, like Mike Valenti, big Michigan State fan, if I'm not mistaken. So there are, it is a little bit divided up there. Like you're not going to see a big divide here.
Just imagine losing the way that again, they thought they had won the series. When your mind mentally goes there, most of our fans thought we were going to lose going into Game 7.
I felt that exact feeling Friday night. Because I felt that I was like, all right, we got to get ready. Seriously, the way we talked by the end of the show on Friday morning, it was like, all right, I guess we're going to have to talk about the Knicks game. And there's a lot of basketball in a short amount of time. And you immediately turn around and go on the road. It's the weekend. Like, we'll see how it goes. Kind of playing with a little house money here. And I just talked about like the series was over and we were headed to take on the New York Knicks. And then they lost in Game 6 so terribly.
And it was awful.
I was like, man, thank God we ain't got to do a show tomorrow morning because this is a nightmare. This is an absolute nightmare. And so for them to win it, it was like such a breath of relief.
But this is fun because of the proximity of the cities.
Yes.
The fact that, for so many years, we were doing the bus trips up there for baseball, and going to the casino when they were the only game in town. So this is
usually just try to go to Windsor, but I never got to go to Windsor.
Well, this is so much fun to have kind of that ownership over a city. We'll see how long it lasts. You never know with these things because obviously their basketball team, they're not going anywhere. Like Cade Cunningham is awesome, and he's not going anywhere.
Yeah, they'll have to make some moves because you still have to buy Harris. I mean, I know you brought up a couple of the bigs and how maybe there was a problem there, but they'll have to make some moves. Tonight, the Cavaliers play the New York Knicks in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Now, we just move the day over. If the Cavs win tonight, I think tomorrow is a totally different conversation about the series because I think there's something, I'm trying to save it for 622, about who I think is the most important player for the Cavaliers in this series. And it's probably, if anybody's listened to us for an extended period of time, it's probably exactly who they think I'm going to say. But nobody, I got to tell you guys this, and maybe this is freeing, and maybe it makes it easier to get behind them because it's been failed expectations over the last 4 years. Like I kind of want to gauge the barometer of the fans today because it's been lack of expectations, failure to find those expectations over the last few years, and now we're in a series where I don't come after the messenger. Nobody is picking us. Nobody is picking us in this series. And you had Termini on yesterday, and I mean, he can be a jerk, but I think he was actually trying to be a little bit respectful as he was like, yeah, there's 3 teams and then there's you. Like of the 4 best teams in the NBA, you're 4th with a bullet, and then there's everybody else above you. Like he was trying to be that. He was trying to be nice about it, but that's what he was saying.
And I bet you after he saw last night's game, because I watched last night's game, and oh boy, the varsity versus JV is something you're going to hear a lot about because those 2 teams did look like they are on a completely different level.
We are going to hear a lot today. I guarantee it. If you listening to us, you probably won't hear much because we got to get ready for the Knicks game. But I think in the national perspective, I guarantee there will be a take of this is the real finals.
Yes.
The San Antonio Spurs and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because that game last night was fantastic. We'll talk more about it in about last night. But I want to know to you, like you're the king of low expectations and then you can be surprised. Does this feel better to be the underdog? Like, because now I want to know if people like kind of let the air out from under their collar or they're going, well, wait a minute. We put together the most expensive team in the NBA and now no one's giving us a chance. Like, what? Kenny, I'm supposed to be satisfied by this?
So,
I wonder how people are going to feel about this.
It's weird because I guarantee that I've vacillated over the years. There have been some times where I've been like, that's a loser attitude. Like when you have LeBron James, to act like you were some big underdog ever, even though you were those first 2 years again. Well, really, every year against Golden State,
yes.
Especially when they added Kevin Durant, you were always considered the underdog. And I was like, yeah, but we do have LeBron James. That is different. Now, there's no LeBron James on this team. And the Knicks, over the course of the last 2 weeks, have just been propped up like there's some unbeatable team. And I'm like, man, I have a lot of Knicks fans in my life. And none of the Knicks fans were thrilled about Mike Brown and their team, for big portions of the year, despite the fact that by the numbers, they were a top 5 offense and a top 5 defense. And yet you couldn't find a lot of Knicks fans that were like, we're definitely going to represent the East.
Before the postseason, they were as dour as I think I've ever heard them. I mean, they can be a boisterous front-running group. They were about as down as I think I've ever seen them. And now, after what happened in the postseason, I mean, the Atlanta series, I mean, you had Stephen A. Smith out there on television saying that he thought that Atlanta could get him in the series and that he was going to go nuts if they had actually got him in the series. They beat Atlanta in the closeout game by $1 billion, and then they made quick work of the 76ers, and now it's this team.
The hobbling Sixers,
it's this team that cannot be derailed. And I have to ask people if they feel better about it, that people love being the underdog, man. It's an easy thing to take advantage of. And people love being the underdog so much that the teams that are favorites make up different things. Like the year Georgia won the national championship back-to-back and said people were taking them to go 7-5 that next year. Tom Brady making things up. Michael Jordan famous for making up adversity. Like, people love to be the underdog. It's easy. And now here, you're a natural underdog. Like, there's a couple of engagement maps out there saying that America's rooting for the Knicks. I don't believe that whatsoever. And I think those are just for engagement. But I think a lot of people are just taking the Knicks to win. So is it a freeing experience for a Cavs fan, or is it a frustrating one considering the salary that's been spent?
Here's what I love about going on the road. Now, you don't love having to play every other day, and you've got veterans like James Harden, and you're wondering what is that going to look like by the end of this series. One game at a time. That's, you got to think mentally. But here's what I do love: like the get-in price at Madison Square Garden surged ahead last night again. It went up like $100. It's up to $550.
It dropped
for the it went up again.
No, I mean it dropped originally. Now it's up.
Yeah, and there are $1,000 tickets, almost in the rafters at that place. What do you think that crowd that paid all that money is going to be doing if the Cavs get off to a hot shooting start and Max Strus or Sam Merrill? Then all of a sudden. And the overreactions to every half, every quarter, every game start to permeate. Yeah. And it's not like the Cavs don't have firepower that can hang. Like they obviously do. Imagine if James Harden is just shooting well. I mean, he had a terrible shooting game. I mean, he had balls going in and out. Like, imagine if this just goes in and the Cavs get off to a great start, what that building is going to be like, because we talk about the Browns and all the treacherous memories that we have and the dicey moments with the Browns. That's when the Browns were good, about not being able to get over the hump. The Knicks, they talk about that. That's their community, about being bit. They have so many agonizing moments. And Donovan Mitchell has gone into Madison Square Garden before, and he has lit them up. And you're telling me when he sees Jalen Brunson out there, this is a lot different from seeing all those wings, all those, very lengthy athletic players against Toronto and Detroit. This is very different. When he sees Karl Anthony Towns, Donovan Mitchell has a chance to have himself a series, and I think he could be better positioned to have a much bigger Eastern Conference Finals than what we saw the last 2 rounds.
I can't believe I agree with somebody who a lot of Cavs fans call a mortal enemy. We'll hear from him coming up in 5 minutes, as well as the most important Cavalier tonight and in this series. And it's 7 o'clock. I'm missing something, and apparently Lima needs to explain it to me and all Clevelanders out there when it comes to a certain somebody else on another team. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work. The Odyssey app is absolutely free. Get it now. Listen now. Be like the people in Florida and Texas and everywhere else who are connected to Cleveland sports on 92.3 The Fan on the free Odyssey app. Today is Tuesday.
Save big during Home Genius Exterior's Memorial Day roofing sale. Call now and get 50% off materials plus an extra $500 off and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors today at 855. You are genius. See website for details.
Listen to 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn app.
Coming up at 9 o'clock, Chris Mannix going to join us on the show. Senior writer at Sports Illustrated. How do the Cavs win this series? I'm going to tell you who the most important Cavalier is in this series coming up here in about 5 minutes. Maybe even less. So you have to be hanging on our every word or you shall be lost. Yesterday on Afternoon Drive, a former Cavalier who has a bit of a dubious past in this town had this to say about the Cavaliers and their season. Here is Carlos Boozer.
No, when's the last time you guys were in the Eastern Conference Finals, right? So he's obviously done his job. You guys have had success this season. Now, is that the goal? No, the goal is to win an NBA championship. Let's be very clear. They're playing their butts off to win an NBA championship, but have they had a successful season? Absolutely.
That's all I was saying yesterday. And a lot of people actually saw it that way too. There are a lot of people actually could see it. Let's say, well, and I think part of it is because they take a look at the odds. You know, you said you did the number crunch yesterday. You said there was a 35% chance that they win the finals or they win the Eastern Conference Finals,
based on the Vegas
odds, makes you an underdog based on the Vegas odds. And then from what we saw last night, we'll get more into it about last night coming up at 7:45 this morning because I think the real MVP probably won the game last night. Those two teams are Victor Wembanyama is at a different level, and it's the way that he already is. It could be just an invitational for him over the next how many years. But again, I'm doing things that I just accused people of doing last week, where it's just like, hey, it's never always going to be the way you think it is. Not in this league with the way it's made now with the second apron, where it's going to be one team and everybody else. It's harder to put together super teams, are almost impossible now. All those things we said last week. But it looked last night like these were two teams that were just at another level. To see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, that atmosphere at home, and then for what San Antonio did, unbelievable. I mean, to hit that shot, go into overtime, to send the thing to over. I mean, I've never seen a big man shoot like that in my life from that level. I mean, it was fourth row. You guys will see the highlights today. It was unreal. And I know that Jeff had brought it up earlier today on the warm-up show. Yes.
Yeah, and then you just see as there's nobody that can keep him off the boards. And poor Alex Caruso had the best game of his career.
Yeah.
Yesterday, I think he hit like 8 threes and was playing just stifling defense. And he had Wemby on him, and they just threw the ball to Wemby, and it was the easiest dunk of all time. It's like, what are you supposed to do?
And I'll tell you this, but I find myself torn here because I'm saying things here that you don't disagree with. It all seems
How could anybody?
Well, because it all seems to be common sense, right? And I think that there have been years past where we have brought up other teams and how good they are, and people got really agitated. Going, what are you saying? We don't have a chance? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying that the Cavs? You guys are hosting Cleveland. We don't have a chance? And I'm going, well, no. And we've had that argument before. But here we are in this series getting ready for the Knicks, and it's been a weird year. And I'm not getting the type of reaction that we had 2014 through 18, where it was us against the world, this big everybody's in. There's been a lot of naysayers locally, man. A lot of fans who've been waiting for the other shoe.
To have your team be in the Final Four of any sport at any level, normally that's accompanied by a citywide, a region-wide, and for whatever reason, like people have just been, which is funny. They're so likable.
But they sent 25 buses of people up there to Detroit. So what is the disconnect?
Donovan's not some diva.
No.
Right? Jared Allen, you saw him again.
Great guy.
The emerging videos of him from his wedding doing the High School Musical thing with Dean Wade and his teammates. Like, this is such a likable non-diva team. You could say maybe you hated Harden your whole life, and now Harden came in, but Harden's been, to me, such a likable guy since he's been here. Yeah, you might not like the turnovers and maybe the style that he plays the game and the foul baiting, but him, like, off the floor, he's been such a cool customer. Like, I don't know how you couldn't like that as well. Like, every bit of this team is likable, and yet the city has, like, kind of held them at arm's length until maybe now.
Yes, and
now that you got the Knicks, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
I hope it's tonight. I think
once you see the Knicks celebrities, you've got a Knicks guy doing the game of Mike Breen who's awesome. But it's all going to be about the Knicks. But everything, and by the way, if the Cavs win game 1 tonight, it's going to be about what the Knicks did to lose it. I think if you can't get galvanized around that, then, I don't know, maybe you're just not into hoops or you're just bored with sports in general.
I don't know what it is. I'm telling you, I have no idea what it is because there seems to be such a disconnect. And I wish I could. I'm trying to come up with theories because I have people who get in on social media. Social media reactions are brought to you by Owen.
Shivan Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
And I got folks who already, like, we have OTA starting today, and I got people complaining about, why aren't you mentioning the Browns? It's like, well, 6:40, we'll mention the Browns, guys.
Wait, OTAs compared to the Eastern Conference Finals?
Compared to the Eastern Conference Finals. So I got some folks who go, why do you even talk about that sport compared to 25 busloads of people that are going up there to watch Detroit? So where's the disconnect and where
for those
we fit?
people, obviously there's different types of people. For those people, this is the biggest thing going by far right now.
But there have been years, again, where what you might say is the truth in actual analysis, and people got mad hearing the analysis brought up because they want us to wave the towels and get excited. And I've liked that because you want a healthy fan base. And I'm just not getting that type of reaction.
It'll take winning one of the first two. If you win one of the first two.
It makes tonight very important because if they go out there and they get hammered tonight, I think we're just going to get them a laze from people again.
Sure, they're expected to get demolished tonight. They're 7.5-point dogs. The good news is you just saw the Spurs in a relatively short turnaround, came out and beat the team that everybody has just crowned in Oklahoma City. Now, they've got Wembanyama. What do we have? Well, maybe you have Donovan Mitchell putting on a show at Madison Square Garden. He's done it plenty of times. So that would be awesome. In his first Eastern Conference Finals, putting a stamp. The further you get, we talk about forging a legacy. This is huge for Donovan Mitchell. Like, he'll never have to hear that a Donovan Mitchell-led team has not been able to get past the second round. He'll never have to hear it again. You know what's even better than that? Hey, a Donovan Mitchell team in the Eastern Conference Finals put on a show at MSG. Yeah. This is where the legacies truly get forged.
I'm going to give you an opportunity to beat me to the punch. Who do you think is the most important Cavalier of the series?
I think it's Evan. I do think it's Evan Mobley.
He beats me to the punch.
I think it's Evan.
Why do you think it's Evan Mobley?
Just because I think...
I knew I should have said it first.
I think if the Sheriff...
Damn it.
...can put an end to this Karl Anthony Towns madness. Karl Anthony Towns is a very talented player. He's going to make so much money in this league. I remember him winning the 3-point shootout here in Cleveland. And then, just throwing bombs in from 30 feet at times. I've seen him do it, his whole career. But they've made it seem like they're unbeatable with him acting as the point guard.
Yeah.
And hitting their cutters. Their cutters are so talented. That's something all Cavs fans have to watch. Like, James Harden can't fall asleep in the corner. They've got guys in Bridges and Anunoby that are so adept, and Josh Hart, at being able to cut, and you can't fall asleep on these guys, and that includes everybody. But him at point guard, I don't see that flying with Evan Mobley and his pterodactyl arms kind of being around the ball and bothering him. And this to me is such a huge series for Mobley.
I should have brought it up before you. I knew it because I'm proud of myself that we agree with each other on this because I go, man, I know it's worked. I know it worked like crazy against Philadelphia. I know it's worked in the past. And I got to tell you, would you be 100% shocked if they say they won the tip-off tonight and all of a sudden standing at the top of the key is someone else running the offense, running point for the New York Knicks?
Oh, if it's just back to
normal Jalen Brunson pick and roll. Exactly.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised because it's like, well, Karl Anthony Towns is a great player, but having Evan come out with his length, you haven't really seen anything like that at the top of the key. So maybe that changes things, and maybe they just go, you know what, we're going to go back with what got it first and see where it is. Or Mike Brown's like, maybe that's thinking too much. Let's see if we can beat him this way.
Here's what I love. We heard so much in these matchups against the Knicks about Mitchell Robinson and Karl Anthony Towns and how are we going to match their toughness inside. But they're playing inverted. They're playing outside. And when Mitchell Robinson's not on the floor, because Mitchell Robinson doesn't start.
Yeah.
So when he's not on the floor, all of a sudden you have Jared Allen back there playing like a demon as well on both ends. Like, I think you've got some matchup. I think Knicks fans are discounting how we are aligned to beat this Knicks team now with how confidence our bigs are playing. The confidence that they're playing with.
I totally agree. 216-474-0092. All right, who's the most important Cavalier for this series? Coming up against the Detroit Pistons. Coming up against the New York Knicks. I want to ask Chris Mannix about that coming up at 9. I want to get to you guys. And Add another name to the list. There's a new report on who leads the Browns QB race heading into OTA day number 1 today over in Berea. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. It's Fat and Thin in the morning on the Fan. American Platinum Door and Gate. You just walked out and
miss Wayside Furniture's Doorbuster event with great savings throughout the store. Wayside in Akron, 1367 Canton Road, near the intersection of Route 224. Keeping it local since 1937.
This is where Cleveland fans turn to talk Cavs basketball. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Time to add another name to the list. Even though he's an insider, so I think he'd probably be on the list anyway, like list emeritus. List of people who we seriously take on who should start for the Cleveland Browns. But this isn't a opinion by him. More on the Cavs coming up here in about 20, 25 minutes. So we have, the list goes real quick. We're going to need to put some music under the list or something like that at some point. But, I don't want to.
We'll get a list music thing.
I'm not trying to be a maestro over here while we're in the middle of it. So here we go.
Just do the read.
Number 1, fans, callers. Number 2, all Cleveland sports media we included. That includes Fanta, who I just saw a video of him at the airport because that's where he's basically at his entire life now is the airport. Mary Kay, Jason Lloyd, Bernie, Joe, John Greco, Kirk Herbstreit, Albert Breer. Albert Breer's an insider too. Should I take him off the list?
I thought we were just kind of taking inventory over what everybody thought.
Emery Hunt, Kuiper, Trey Wingo, Stink, Jarvis, Odell, Joe Hayden, Josh Cribbs, Tom Brady, Cody Kessler, Baker Mayfield, Brian Hoyer, Dan Orlovsky. I put Fanta again on the list. The big question was whether or not Johnny Manziel was. Jeremy Fowler was on Sports Illustrated, Sports Center the other day. Chris Mannix from Sports Illustrated will join us this morning at 9 o'clock. We'll talk Cavs with him. He was on Sports Center the other day, and he reported that going into OTAs, it would seem that Deshaun Watson has the leg up, apparently, of the QB job, which 2 prevailing thoughts came out. 1, why is Deshaun Watson still the leader in the clubhouse to be the quarterback of the Browns? And people are upset with that because they're upset with that. Not a lot of Browns fans do want to see him play. Number 2, the whole leak factor that comes into this going, where are we getting leaks? Why is he saying this? Why is Breer saying these things? Where are these leaks coming from? I thought Todd Monken was supposed to get rid of the leaks. And I go, to that, can I just say something to that real quick?
When people would expect Todd Monken, the free-flowing, with as much as he is as honest as possible, you'd expect less leaks from Todd Monken?
I don't even think it's that. If we're talking about leaks anymore, I don't know if leaks are coming from inside the building. I think that the leaks... there's definitely, because it's an open QB room, if you talk to the right people at the right time, there's definitely people who want Deshaun Watson and think Deshaun Watson's the leader, and there's definitely people who like Shedeur and think Shedor's the leader. There's a lot of people in a building. So everybody has an opinion. Depending on who you talk to, you could say, I talked to somebody in the building. Well, if I walk in the building and then you talk to me, someone in the building told me that Shedeur is looking real good. Yeah, it's me. It's Kenny Carman. I told you that Shedeur looks really good. So that's a weird rule. But let's be serious here. Agents matter. People around people matter. And you know as well as I know that there's definitely people around Deshaun Watson who like to speak to people. And it wouldn't surprise me none. Wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. And why wouldn't he want something like that out there?
Oh, you're saying that Watson's camp is orchestrating this?
No.
Well, what are you saying?
That's not
then?
what I said. I said you always do this, and it pisses me off to an obscene level.
We all heard what you said.
I said you have to factor in all things, and it's not just the building. Todd Monken isn't secretly calling up Jeremy Fowler going, hey, I just want to let you know that Deshaun Watson's the leader in the club. I'm not saying that, but I think it's crazy that there was a time in 2011 where we thought everything was coming out of buildings. And I just think now in 2026, you have to look at agents, you have to look at business managers, you have to look at business partners, and you can't just look inside the building. That's what I'm saying. And you know as well as I know that there's people around all the quarterbacks, including Deshaun Watson, who love to talk to the media, love to talk to insiders quietly. That's what I'm saying. For the love of God. He's orchestrating. You know what you're saying when you use the term orchestrate. Don't bog me down.
I don't know.
Don't do that.
People can rewind it and tell me that
I did I say the word?
I'm the one that's crazy
If
here.
I wanted to say the term orchestrate, you know what you're doing. You know you're triggering me. If I wanted to say the word orchestrate, I'll say the effing word orchestrate. Orchestrate has a meaning behind it, and you know it does. So don't even start with me on that. So let's continue the conversation, shall we?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, fine. Fine.
What to me is pretty clear here is there does seem to be, and maybe it's for a managing of the expectations so that they don't get killed when it's Deshaun Watson, as the starting quarterback, which I've tried to make the case. I think that actually could be not the worst thing in the world for Shedeur. Like, I actually think him being able to sit there and watch properly as opposed to last year, which was you're the fourth stringer and everybody else gets these reps ahead of you, like actually just being the backup and letting things play out. How do we think things are going to play out?
I could
with
see
Watson
that way.
as the quarterback?
I could see that way with common sense, but I don't think us in the media will allow it. I think we'll start saying crazy things.
Yeah, I mean, but what does it matter what the media says compared to what actually is transpiring?
Well, it seems to be that we
scenes?
have all the power in the world compared to, according to some folks out there. So I think that the media, the internet, will lose their minds and start saying things that you just can't take back about it. But either way,
yeah, I mean, hey, look,
it's a nice thought. I just don't think it's realistic.
Either way, like the fact that so many people have come out of the woodwork to say that Watson is looking good when there hasn't been anything to look at. What's there been to look at? So where would that be coming from? You know what I mean? Like there have been 3 install sessions.
But that's what I'm pointing out. There's definitely people in the building who feel one way or the other, without a doubt. Is Jeremy Fowler and Albert Breer and everybody talking to all of them? Not just all of them.
I mean,
Come on.
They're also
that's what I'm pointing out.
They've
Not
also
orchestrate. Let's have common sense.
They've also been pretty plugged in to organizational members over the years. I think that's been pretty obvious. So I just wonder if the Browns are trying to manage this by saying, hey, don't lose your mind if the guy you don't want is the leader and ends up being number 1 and starts the preseason game and then goes into the season as a starter. Don't lose your mind. We're trying to delicately play that game with a guy that you guys don't necessarily want to see by the numbers.
Again, I will always point out, if Todd Monken makes his decision and it's Deshaun Watson, I'll accept it. The fear I would have, I don't think it's a fear. The concern I would have is the fallout behind it. Because we lived through it last year. Let's not play stupid. If you pick Deshaun Watson, there is going to be a uproar of people. And there's going to be an uproar of people who don't even necessarily love Shedeur. They just don't want to see Deshaun Watson play.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And so if you're making the decision to start Deshaun Watson, you better be damn sure that he is head and shoulders above everything else, which I don't want to get to a point where it's like, all right, if Deshaun Watson plays poorly, then you put in Shedeur, and then Shedeur, just to prove Todd Monken right, is to end up playing poorly as well, which is a possibility that could happen. I don't think anybody wants that. I just want the best quarterback to play, and if it ends up, and I want Shedeur to play, but if it ends up being Deshaun Watson and Todd Monken has made that decision as the head coach, which he should, then I'll accept that. I have to. But when I'm hearing some of the stuff going on, it's like, well, we have to consider the sources here, guys. And it's exactly what you said. There's been very little that's been open to anybody, let alone other people in the building or to the media. Very little at all. So there's going to be a lot of hearsay. And when you have people who are around quarterbacks, which there's a lot around both these guys, there's going to be things that are said. But it's odd that I'm hearing only one thing about Deshaun Watson. I'm not hearing a very much at all about Shedeur Sanders being the leader or having a chance to be the leader.
Well, but isn't that simply because all they've done is install stuff, right? It's not like they've been, fully in pads and going 11 on 11. So because of that, the edge that Watson was always going to have was the experience, the amount of different coaches he's been with, the amount of different installations, the football jargon over time. When Shedeur is working at a deficit just by virtue of
experience, lack of experience.
He's never had a full year as a starting quarterback in the NFL. It's just never been that. It's been baptism by fire. And I'd say the same thing if it were year 7 in the NFL of Shedeur Sanders and he was going up against a rookie. Then Shedeur would be in the lead.
And it's
not his fault.
And the only thing I've tried to explain throughout all of it, when I've gotten my head bit off about, maybe I tried to tell people that Kevin Stefanski was his best friend and nobody wanted to listen to it. And I go, well, hold on. Not that they get along personally, not that they love each other personally, but who's more likely to go with the status quo? Would it be Kevin or would it be the 60-year-old head coach who's a head coach for the first time and maybe the only time? It's going to be Kevin. That's who it would have been. Now, Kevin could have looked at it and go, okay, I get the decision now. I'm going to go back to Deshaun Watson. He could have very well done that. That's very well possible. And he would have been even more of a villain to a lot of the fans than what he already is. But when you have a new guy coming in, now we have to look at it with a fresh perspective. If he picks Deshaun Watson, then let's be serious. We have to look, or it forces us to observe Shedeur Sanders in a different light. 216-474-0092 and take some of the emotion that we've had for it out of it, because we do have a season that we have to get going to, and they are, even though not a lot of people think that they can, they're trying to win football games. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Chris Mannix going to join us. He'll preview Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals with us. Coming up at 7:20, the Cavs need you, the fans, now more than ever. But coming up in 5 minutes, I'm missing something, and apparently Lima needs to explain it to me. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work where you can hear that explanation on the free Odyssey app.
This is
filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Get primed for the Cavs playoffs on your ride home. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. Cleveland's Sports Radio. 92.3 The Fan.
Your Cleveland Cavaliers need you now more than ever. And I'll tell you why they need you now more than ever. Coming up at 7:22 this morning. 216-474-0092. Tone Mark Furman did.
I did see that.
Coming in hot, 9:45 on Friday. Please keep your comments within the boundaries of good taste. So they're from the trial, they're dropping left and right. Marcia Clark's still with us, correct?
Oh, yeah.
Johnny Cochran's been gone for a while. F. Lee Bailey just passed away.
R.I.P.
O.J. Simpson's gone. Robert Kardashian's been gone for a while.
What about Kato Kalin? I think he's still alive.
I think Kato Kalin is still with us.
Ito?
Christopher Darden?
Al Callings?
Oh, hold on, John. Ito's been gone for a while, unfortunately. Didn't he own land in Ohio? I thought somebody told me he owned a farm in, like, Paris, Ohio.
He was on NFL Primetime
Is
for a few
Al
years.
Cowling still with us? John just asked, is Al Cowling still... Hold on. Al Cowling is... you know he's alive, damn it! 78 years old. Al Cowling's still with us.
AC.
Hey, July's coming up. You guys want to get a reunion going? Go June. Right on ahead. Oh, yeah, June. It was June.
It's June 12th and June 17th.
My goodness. I forgot about that. Real quick, Christopher Darden is...
He's alive.
Still with us. Wanted to make sure. He's 70 years old. Christopher Darden's still with us. Okay. Also still with us, also on this side of the earth, and obviously with the Cleveland Browns, is Myles Garrett. Now, Lima said to me, quote, I don't think people here understand that, and that apparently I need something explained to me because it came out on Pro Football Talk last night. Mary Kay Cabot had reported it, that OTA start today, and that, he ain't going to be there, which he wasn't there last year, and he had 23 sacks.
Yeah, it was expected that Aaron Rodgers will be at Pittsburgh's, the guy who famously doesn't go to anything, but he'll be there, and Myles Garrett is not expected. Now, why did they say they did not expect Myles to be there? Weren't there some Browns fans that were like, all right, he'll come to this. He missed that other stuff, but he'll definitely come to this.
Well, he didn't go to it last year, so why would I expect him to go to it this year?
Because of the new coach and the coaching staff.
All right, just tell everybody what you're getting at so you don't lock me into some stupid trap.
Every time anybody at the station is like, why do we have to talk about this? And I'm like,
why does anybody at the station? You mean me? Why? Just say, why, Ken? Do you always say, why do we have to talk about this?
You don't have to talk about it, but the prevailing thought from almost anybody who's not a Browns fan is the Browns are trading him after the June date that everybody has circled around the league.
June 2nd.
Yeah.
I mean, technically it's post June 1st, but like June 2nd would be the date that it would start. Why? I understand that people listen. He's a really good football player on a not so great team, so they want to put him on a great football team.
Currently on a few of the sites, underdogs in 15 of the 17 games coming up.
Guys, I don't think they're trading him. I just don't think they're trading him.
Sure, but the people outside of Cleveland think they are trading him.
But I think there's a difference between they are and they should. I think there's a difference. I think there's people outside of Cleveland who think they should trade him and that it would make sense considering you get 3 first-round picks. Hell, I think there's also plenty of people in Cleveland who think they should trade him. I just don't think they're trading him. I really don't. Is that naive of me to say?
It probably is.
You think I'm naive to say that? You've seen this team make these moves?
I think most of Cleveland...
So what do you think's going to happen? You think he's going to start the season with the Browns? You don't think he's going to start the season with the Browns?
You said you saw the team make these moves. Aren't all the NFL teams making moves? I mean, other teams had free agency too that are expected to be really bad.
We have evidence of this organization punting on a season before, punting on 2 seasons before. There's no evidence to show that there. They could punt on this season if they wanted to.
The Browns don't need to punt on seasons to punt on seasons. Bad teams don't need to overtly try to go 0-17 to have a bad season.
Myles Garrett won a game just by being on the field last year. He did. So if you're trying to do or if they're trying to do what you think they may be trying to do, he would not be an advantage to being a football team.
That's why people think they're trading
getting there. I think they think it's a good idea to trade him. I don't think what tells me that they're going to trade him. What has told you that they're going to trade him?
Just the window. Like you're starting over.
The window's the window schmindo. It doesn't matter.
With two rookie classes, you're going to be one of the youngest teams in the NFL this year. Those teams with a guy in his prime, and we don't know how long the Myles Garrett prime. You seem befuddled when it's not.
I am. I'm glaring at you with incredulous. I'm incredulous.
I've said for 3 years now that if a new GM came in, the first thing he would do is trade Myles Garrett.
Well, we don't have a new GM. We have Andrew Berry. He's a 7th-year GM.
But you're acting like it's crazy talk when everybody outside of Cleveland thinks he's getting traded.
And I still say to you, words matter.
Like you follow the league, right? You would think if the Jets had Myles Garrett, wouldn't you assume if you were on CBS Sports Radio, wouldn't you come on every day and say, the Jets, it's just a matter of time before they trade Myles Garrett? Wouldn't you say that? You would. You wouldn't say, look at all the moves that they had. They're trying to win.
Watching the Jets do the same thing as the Browns, no, I would not say that.
Yes, you would.
No, I would. Okay, you know what? I'm telling you the truth.
This is such a clear case of you're in the Ken Carman Cleveland bubble right now. There's no way you would say that.
This is such a clear case of you having your head up your ass and not listening to what I'm trying to tell you.
Which is what a bubble person would say. That is what a bubble boy would say.
So I can't even get an opinion off because because I'm in the bubble, so I can't even say what I feel. I can't even tell you how I feel about it.
You are restrained by the bubble.
So just do the show by yourself then.
Well,
do the segment by yourself.
That wouldn't be much fun. Although if you were dressed like a big bubble doing the show with me on YouTube, that would be entertaining. Your words would come out funny in the bubble. There is the Bubble Boy movie. Was John Travolta in the Bubble Boy movie?
The movie was terrible, wasn't it? Please give me something here. Owen,
I grew up on the Bubble Boy movie.
I can't.
There was one in 2001. If that's what you want.
They redid the Bubble Boy movie. Now
LeBron
James won a championship in the bubble, but it widely has an asterisk.
I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to sit there and get all red-faced and bust my blood vessels over words. It's not going to happen. I know from what they're doing, I don't believe that they have any intention to trade him. And I think you're confusing because I think you're so obsessed with being outside of the bubble, you've put yourself in your own bubble.
Wow.
You are confusing what people's opinions are compared to what they're going to do.
We have dueling bubbles right now.
You've had the PR guy, the insider Adam Schefter say over and over and over again, the Browns have no plans on trading him. And you're just going to this day in June saying, well, once we get to June. All right, what if we get to July and he's still not traded? What if we get to August and he's still not traded? The Micah Parsons month. What if we get to there and he's still not traded? Will you believe them then? Because I don't think they're trading him.
I'll believe it when he's on the team week 1. Yeah.
So I have to sit here and have these stupid conversations over the next few months?
I don't have to have the conversations at all. I just don't think.
You wanted to have the conversation today? You wanted to explain to me the truth today?
I think it's the least crazy. You're acting like it's crazy, and I'm like, it's the least crazy thing of all time.
Do you think the conversation would not exist if he showed up today?
Right. I think actually that would do a very, very reasonable job of suppressing
it. Would have a much better chance of not having Aaron. Okay, that's true. That is true. It would have a much better chance of not having Aaron.
Is there a reason he's not going to anything? Because remember, we all said this at the time.
I need to clarify something, too.
He was lobbying for Jim Schwartz, and Jim Schwartz didn't get the job. And we did ask the question at the time, how is that going to go over with Myles Garrett when the guy he wanted, the vouch for, did not get the job? And now he's still not showing the stuff? What do you think people are going to say?
He didn't show the stuff last year.
I know, but they had the same coach for the 5th straight year. This is a new coach, a new defensive coordinator. At some point, it'd be nice to have everybody.
What's he supposed to do?
Supposed
to be? No, what's he supposed to do with the new defensive coordinator? I think you could line up a million guys on defensive coordinators. Owen, you ran offense with the youth football team, right?
Both of them last year.
Okay. I've run defense before, and if I had Myles Garrett, I would just go, hey, go after that guy.
All right. Do you really need to be here to go after him? 12-year-old football if we had Myles Garrett.
They'd be leading me out of there in cuffs, but we'd win the damn game. I'll tell you that.
We've obviously had you're being funny. We've had the conversations forever about.
Oh, now I'm the one being obtuse
about this.
Okay.
About what that would be, the embodiment of how that would look. The coach, the defensive coordinator, the new staffers, everybody doing this for the first time, and then their star defensive player. Like, I think it would go a long way. Sometimes it is more than just like the physical, hey, we're going over plays. Yeah, Myles doesn't need to do that. Myles could show up at halftime of the first game. I don't think anybody would be wondering if Myles Garrett would have an impact on the game or that the defense would be really good. It's so much more than that. And I think there's a symbolic nature of that stuff from somebody who's supposed to be a leader, who is, one of the highest paid guys. in the league, I think that stuff does go a long way. And I think you guys are lying to yourselves if you're acting like you wouldn't love it.
I've had this conversation with you
it.
so many years in the past, and it's never mattered. And he's always been one of the top players in the NFL. He's a two-time defensive player of the year. He's an MVP candidate for crying out loud.
That's not the conversation.
Yes, it is.
We're not
it is part of the conversation.
Nobody here is saying Miles wouldn't be good.
Well, you want him to be some sort of Mr. Miyagi-type figure to everybody else out there where it would mean this, that, and the other, and it really wouldn't. He's a defensive end.
All right, so why would anybody
to go after the quarterback.
I guess nobody should show. Nobody should show because nothing matters.
No, it's Myles Garrett. Are they as good as Myles Garrett?
We're on year.
Are they as good as Myles Garrett?
We are on year what?
Are they as good as Myles Garrett?
15 of the station of Ken Carman saying none of this stuff matters.
Okay, be difficult.
And what is the one common theme with the Browns?
I didn't say none of it matters.
All of it matters because they're bad every year.
I didn't say none of it matters.
They're bad almost every year.
They've been good 2 years.
So what matters?
And they look like they're getting better this year.
They've
been good 2 of those years out of the last 10 years we've been together.
Vegas has them for 6 wins this year.
Congratulations on all Vegas' success.
And Ken thinks they're going to win how many games?
But I didn't say everybody. I said 6. I said 6.
And it'll be 11.
I said 7 last week.
And it'll be 8 next week, and it'll be 11 before the season starts.
Well, you know what? Maybe we'll see where that goes.
And then Miles will be mad, and he'll probably ask to be traded again. And Ken will go, where did this come from? Oh, I don't understand.
That's not how that goes.
That's exactly how it goes.
That's not how that goes.
You'll be bowled over. I don't know. I never saw this coming. This is a runaway freight train.
You did a typical move that's in most arguments, and I'm actually appalled that you would do it. I thought I would hold you to a higher regard. You took one little thing and then took it to the umpteenth degree. Are all the other 52 players on the team named Myles Garrett and play like Myles Garrett? Are they like Myles Garrett? No, they're not. There's Myles Garrett, and then there's everybody else. So, yes, it is important that they all do it. I would expect
if you were in Pittsburgh doing radio today,
Aiden Huntington to be there for all this stuff. I would expect
if you were in Pittsburgh doing,
Alex Wright to be there.
If you were in Pittsburgh doing radio today, you would say what about Aaron Rodgers coming?
I'm sorry, does Myles Garrett play quarterback?
Or it matter?
Does Myles Garrett play quarterback? Does he have to do what everybody else needs to do on offense?
Ken has found
answer the question for me.
Ken has found
Please
his one saving grace. Oh, Myles isn't the quarterback. Doesn't matter what he does.
Yes, it does. It's not a one saving grace.
Yes,
it's the win in the argument. That's what it is.
Oh, yeah.
All right,
you're really winning this one.
216-474-0092. How am I losing it? By the way, you're confusing.
Because you tell me these things never matter, and then all season you go, well, he's not a leader.
It doesn't matter to him.
What would make him a leader?
It doesn't matter to him.
What would make him a leader?
Because maybe
showing up to stuff.
You get up.
Would that make him a leader?
This is where you got confused again. Because you're living in your own world. Maybe you've had a little bit too much bourbon at night watching the NBA playoffs because you don't know what I'm saying. Listen to what I'm saying over here.
Bourbon bomb. I have had a lot of bourbon throughout the playoffs.
Were you drinking last night?
No, I actually was not. I was not. Look at my eyes. Look at my eyes. Do you want me to walk the line?
I have a breathalyzer in here you can come take.
Our breathalyzer test brought to you by
Scheiben Jewelers.
That'd be an amazing bit. Couple things. One, I said he's not a leader because I get tired of hearing people expecting leadership out of him. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. It ain't going to happen. It hasn't happened. The other thing is he's Myles Garrett and the other ones ain't. And they pay him to do one thing. Everywhere, everything he's done, it's been against the grain. Think about his entire career. It's all been against the grain, Anthony. Everything has not been the way that we wanted it to be from when he first got drafted by the Cleveland Browns. And every year, he's answered the bell, and he's had more sacks this last year than he ever has in a season. So there comes a point where I throw my hands up and I go, he wins. He wins. Do you think Bill Belichick? Now, I know that Lawrence Taylor had a completely different set of circumstances than Myles Garrett, okay? But do you think that Bill Belichick and Bill Parcells were just thrilled with all the things that they were hearing about Lawrence Taylor and Lawrence Taylor showing up late, Lawrence Taylor showing up maybe a little bit under the influence, Lawrence Taylor showing up and falling asleep? Do you think that they liked that? Hell no, they didn't like that. But there comes a time where you go, well, I got to do what I got to do because he shows up on Sundays and he wrecks everything and he helps us win football games. And even the lowly Browns, where they shouldn't have won that game against Pittsburgh last year, I'll admit that. I was in the stands for it and loved the experience. Yes, they shouldn't have won that game. He won the game by just being on the field. And before this segment ends, let me explain something else to you. I'm not saying it's dumb if they did trade him in June. I would just be surprised. I'd feel bad for Todd Monken. I'd feel real bad for him because he seems like a good guy, and that just shot everything dead right there, like Mikey Palmise over on Sopranos. That's about it. I don't know why I use that experience. I'm sorry. Let's strike that from the record. Let me tell you that. That's the truth of the matter. I'd feel bad for Todd Monken, but I wouldn't call it. If they got 3 first-round picks, I'm going to get on the radio and say it's stupid. What? I just don't believe it's going to happen. That is why I get so frustrated. you're convinced it's going to happen, because I think that you and a lot of other people go, well, they're not going to be that good, so why are you even trying? Let's go and get the draft picks. Which actually, I've entertained that conversation with everybody. I'm not calling those people stupid. Yeah, they're trying to see it from a 30,000-foot view.
The only other part of it would be that he's doing this until he gets the largest non-quarterback contract in the NFL. And then, quite frankly, he could do that every year.
All right, 216-474-0092. Who's right, who's wrong? Who's right, who's wrong? Lima also says he has a, quote, interesting thought when it comes to Todd Monken. Can you give us that interesting thought in the next segment, as well as the Cavs need the fans now more than ever? Explain why, coming up in 5 on The Fan.
50% off materials plus an extra $500 off and no payments till 2027. Call Home Genius Exteriors today at 855. You are genius. See website for details.
The Browns are back on the practice field for OTAs, and our beat reporter Darryl Ryder has the details. 923thefan.com and the Odyssey app.
Well, at least a lot of people seem to agree with me. We'll go to the phones here in a moment. I got
Browns
that going
fans.
for me.
Browns fans agree with you.
So we're just all in the bubble. Is that what you're going to say? So you win the argument no matter what?
No, I'm not. Listen, it's not about winning an argument. We'll see. You guys can all say, I told you so, when we get to the regular season and Miles is here. And then we can debate whether it's the smart move to continue on when you could get. You even admitted you didn't think it would be a dumb move to trade Myles Garrett. You admitted it last
If you got
segment.
3 first-round picks,
Right.
how could I say that's stupid?
It wouldn't be stupid.
But
It would just suck because you wouldn't have the best defensive player, and it would almost for sure tell everybody what this year is about.
It would torpedo the season.
Yes.
It would torpedo the season.
Although the Cowboys, it did not torpedo their season losing.
Because they still had a quarterback.
Micah
We don't know
last
what
year,
our quarterback situation is. I mean, Dak Prescott still is a pretty damn good quarterback. I mean, he's not top 5. Arguably, is he top 10? I don't know. I haven't done the QB
And Micah's
tiers.
not as good as Miles.
And Micah's very good, but he's not as good as Miles. But yeah, you had one team that traded for that guy. They had a quarterback. The other team had a quarterback. You could make that trade. The Browns don't have a quarterback, so we don't know if we do or not, but we more than likely have to wait until next year, right? So it would kill the season. And if it kills the season, then everything's on deck. 60-year-old head coach. Now all of a sudden I'm in David Culley land. I want to do that, but
although if they did and they were just terrible this year, nobody would care if they moved on from Monken at the end of the year.
Cavs in moments, 216-474-0092. Well, who's right? Because Lima says that we're in a bubble. I'm in a bubble. Because I go, everything the Browns have done, with the exception of rework his contract, that one, we had to discuss it when it happened. But everything they've done, I'm like, no, they're trying to win football games. Everything they've shown, they would, and everybody has a price, so they'd have to be absolutely just blown away by the offer. And that would mean 3 first-round picks. That blows away the offer. But if they traded him for a first-round pick, I'd go, what the F are you doing? What are you doing?
That's entirely different. I mean, that would make no sense.
Tom in Charlotte, North Carolina on the free Odyssey app. You're next up on the fan. Hello, Tom.
Gentlemen of Cleveland, how we doing this morning? A first time, long time. Guys, to me, when you look at this whole Myles Garrett situation, the Browns missed yet another opportunity to trade him before the NFL draft. They really should have done that. I really think that when you have a guy like Myles Garrett, who no doubt is a first ballot Hall of Famer, yeah, you want to be cautious about trading him, but at the same time, this move that we've made to get Deshaun Watson has set our franchise back 5, maybe even 10 years, who knows. But we need picks. We need people to come into our organization that can change the narrative quickly. Myles Garrett is 30 years old. At best, he's got, maybe 2-3 years ahead of him. And let's just say he has 2 incredible years like he had last year. What did that translate for to the Browns?
Well, I disagree with you. I disagree with you about before the draft, because if you're getting first-round picks in this last draft, that really wasn't going to matter that much. I mean, you had all the moves that were being made, but not a lot of people were that much more interested in more first-round picks in this draft. If they were to make a move, how do you
know that?
Because I covered the draft. I was there live covering the draft.
No, I'm just saying, how do you know those players wouldn't make an impact?
Because are they going to make the impact that Myles Garrett makes? Or are they going to make the impact that a quarterback would make? If it's not a great quarterback class, then why am I trading away Myles Garrett?
Because you can get offensive linemen, you can get a.
I'm going to trade Myles. I'm going to trade the greatest defensive player that's arguably the greatest pass rusher that's ever lived by the time it's all said and done, and definitely the greatest defensive player of the Browns for another offensive lineman.
Don't you think that Myles Garrett's ceiling right now, don't you think you can get the most out of him right now? And I'm just asking. I'm not being critical of you. I'm just curious.
Well, you can be critical of me. We're going to disagree with each other. We can get the most we can, but those picks are like, if you got another first-round pick in 2027, That's a discussion starter. But another first-round pick in this last draft, that wasn't gonna whet the appetite. So if they were thinking about trading the man, it wouldn't have been before this last draft. It would have been, as Lima is saying, after June 1st, would be starting on June 2nd. That's just when that would start, Tom. I mean, I'm not going to say that you're an idiot for wanting to trade him. Sorry, what? Yeah, you can get more picks.
You got to get more picks.
Yeah,
you got to get more picks.
You can get more picks after this, but and Tom, thank you for the call. You can get more picks. If you want more picks, somebody will hand you 3 first-round picks for the guy. I'm not saying it's complete balderdash that they could trade him. Remember what I'm saying here. What I'm pointing out to you is that I just believe they're not trading him. For the history of the worst trade that ever happened, I don't think that Andrew wants his Wikipedia attached to that, and I don't think the Browns really want to trade him. And also, I mean, the whole conversation about, well, this team's got to be good in 2029. Why are we worried about now? You need to whet the appetite now. You can't just tell everybody, hey, we're going to start being good in 2029 when they open up the new stadium. You got to give them something. And Myles Garrett gives them something. And if you let go of him or you trade him, if you're getting ready for 2027, there'd be a lot of people who'd be really, really, really mad, and it'd be a tough year, but maybe they could understand. If you traded him back then, it's nonsensical.
Yeah, I would push back a little bit.
And it kills this season, and I just believe that they're doing everything they can to try to win some games now.
I know it's a small thing you said, but the getting the team ready for the dome year, that is why you would trade Myles Garrett.
You would.
To have all the first-round picks to get them.
You're doing that to help you in 2027, 28, 29. You want to start putting something together then. You can trade Myles Garrett and still, if you get the right quarterback, still have a formidable team by the time you get to 29. But I'm not just trading him for 3 first-round picks for more there can be great offensive linemen. This is the greatest player that's ever played defense for your football team. Your team's been around for 80 years, guys. 80 years. He's the best defensive player that's ever played for. That's a lot of history. By the time it's all said and done, he's over 100 sacks. By the time he's done, you said he could go. I mean, you and I, when we first started this discussion 2 years ago, it was how much longer does Myles have? And you and I put it at 33, 34. Would you be surprised to see him playing at 37?
Right. Well, yeah.
At a fine level?
And he's avoided massive injuries. So
by the time he's done, he could very well have Bruce Smith's record. He very well could. You don't just do that for extra offensive linemen. Mm-hmm. I could see you doing it for the quarterback that you believe in and more first-round picks to help out that quarterback that you believe in. But I don't think that they're doing that this year. Eddie in Westlake, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Eddie.
Yeah, I'm not trading Myles Garrett under any circumstances, especially not for essentially 3. You telling me I'm going to trade him for 3 second-round picks? This dude got a no-trade clause. He can go wherever he want to go. That means that equals contender. That equals somebody that's picking 27, 28, 29, 30, 31. I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm sorry, guys. Like you just said, he's not only the best player on the Browns' history. I mean, this dude is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Easily. I mean, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing it. I don't care how they want to make it look. I mean, Andrew Berry is maneuvering and getting these. You can only, and plus the Browns is going to be to the point where if they keep on acquiring this young talent, it's going to be hard to make this team. So I mean, we get out of like draft accumulation mode. I mean, it is a young man's game.
Well, how else do you get good, Eddie? What do you think? You build your team through free agency? How else do you think you get good in this league?
No, I know you do, but what I'm saying is the Browns got to the point when I was telling y'all before, and I said, hey man, it's a disconnect with Kevin Stefanski because he been here 5 or 6 years, and 2 or 3 of these years we done had a top 5 roster. They kept on saying our roster there wasn't nowhere for people to make the team. You follow me? They wasn't gonna make. That's where the Browns are building to. You do build it through the draft, but you're going to get to a point where it's going to be hard to make this team. It's a draft pick. You follow me? And that's where, Andrew Berry is going to do what he does. But what I'm saying to you right now is I don't want to trade Myles Garrett for 3 second-round picks. I'm talking to you like that because that's what they're going to do.
By the way, Eddie, I do love this. You're doing some slippery wizard stuff because before this draft, this was supposedly the worst draft in 25 years, but now the Browns got 4 first-round picks out of it. But in your situation, now they're all second-round picks.
Well, the first-round picks in this draft.
Right.
Okay.
It's just funny how that works.
This dude can tell us where he wants to go. He can veto anything. It's not why are the Browns trading? Does he want to get traded? Because he ultimately has the final say. It's not us. He in control.
What do you think Myles wants, Eddie? What do you think he wants?
Myles Garrett just want to ball out and he want to win. I think he really, at this point, he has the money. He really want to win. I believe this dude, man, puts so much effort, works so hard, and keep taking these L's left and right. I mean, he's tired of losing. At some point, you got enough money. I mean, don't get me wrong. People, they want him more and more and more. But at this point, he wants to win. And if the Browns can put him in that situation, he would love it here. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, they got to win.
What if he takes another rework contract? What do we say then? Because I was with you last year because he wrote that letter and it just seemed to be this is all about winning. But when you accept that money, and that's fine, we can all accept money. What if he takes another contract again? What if Lima's right and he does become again the highest paid non-quarterback in the league again?
Oh, that's ego. I mean, everybody wants that. I mean, I don't got nothing to do. I mean, come on, man. I mean, like, this is a business.
But you know what they'd say about him, Eddie? You know what the conversation would shift to.
When Myles Garrett can no longer get sacked, he's going to either get traded or cut. And they're not going to ask him, is it okay, Myles, if we cut you?
Well, let me tell you, Eddie, thank you for the call. What were you going to say, Tony?
The conversation would shift. If he just keeps re-upping for the most amount of money possible, they would say, oh, on the loser Browns, you're not a winning player. You don't care about, which me and you would look at and go, what? Yeah, he would win on almost any team. There's so many teams he would win on. But they'd say you're prioritizing just you.
But if he went out there and he continued to play at that high of a level, there's nothing you can say to the guy. If he ends up getting traded to a contender, then there's something. And maybe he would find a way to get paid the most money again this coming offseason or during this offseason or in the offseason. And then he would find another, because he is right. He's only going to get traded to a certain handful of teams out there. And that's it. And then the teams that he might still accept are teams that you wouldn't trade him to anyway. Maybe one of them's in division. I don't know. It would see that he would like to be either in L.A. or certainly Dallas would be one of those things. But that's way easier said than it is actually going through it, because these guys, there's history tied here. They've been through a lot together. Coming up at 8 o'clock. All right, I wanted to do that, and then obviously we got all upset with each other. Ladies and gentlemen, the Cavs need you fans now more than ever as we get ready for the New York Knicks in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Coming up in 5 minutes, did the real MVP win last night? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
Real estate market is volatile as ever.
happen around the globe that we never hear of.
I really don't give a I mean, it had nothing to do with me. I mean, they moved the meeting. I didn't miss it. I was just trying to get a sweet haircut.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, it's the way it should be.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. How he couldn't please his wife, so now he's divorced.
That sounds really good, but I'm not 6'5", and I don't have the athletic ability to play in the NBA.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
The Cleveland Guardians beat the Tigers last night 8-2. They are now 27-22. The Guardians have won 6 of 7, 9 of 12, and they have the third best record in the American League, only behind the Rays. And the Yankees, they have a positive run differential. Happened over the last 12 games. Stephen Kwan, 3 walks. J-Ram, 3 hits, 3 RBIs, and a home run. Slade Ciconia, I don't know if we're not worried about him anymore. He's on not worry about watch. 7 1/3 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned runs. Have the Guardians already won the division?
No. Good Lord.
Isn't it incredible, though, what this offense, and if you look by the numbers and think about it, Bo Naylor, not even a part of this anymore. Manzardo had an atrocious first month of the year. Obviously, Kwan and Ramirez. And yet you look at their numbers relative to the rest of baseball, they're like middle of the pack offensively. And that's all with this surge of late. So imagine where they could be if any of this continues.
Well, there did become a point. That's an interesting question, though. Because of what happened last year, are we allowed to say that anybody wins the division until they actually win the division? Because we've looked at other divisions before and been like, so-and-so went away and hid, and you can't even catch up to them. Maybe that's happening in the East right now, the National League. But you can't do that in the AL Central, can you? I mean, they were 15 and a half games back, left for dead, and came back. There was one person in the area that was saying that they could, and it was me.
Good old Kenny.
No, it was Owen. It was Owen big time.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was Owen.
It was Owen big time.
So it is kind of interesting, though, if I would have told you before the year that Stephen Kwan would be batting 7th by May 18th. You'd be like, oh, boy.
How did he do last night, batting 7th?
3 walks.
He did.
And he had a stretch
little bit
of
of pressure
5
off him.
straight plate appearances with a walk. So, yeah, they're not really pitching to him. I like it down there. I like him down there at 7.
Fair enough.
Wemby and the Spurs. The Spurs take down the Thunder.
Oh, go ahead and address it if you'd like.
Yeah,
No, I'm fine. We're fine.
I didn't hear anything.
That's
Fine.
the new the transition because we got yelled at for the whoosh. Wemby,
Why did you get yelled at?
By who?
coming in hot?
A guy and coming in hot.
What was wrong with it?
It
John,
sounded terrible on
so
the
just
radio.
know, Cleveland, if you'd like John to do anything different, one time you can complain.
Let me
on
hear
coming
this
in
one.
hot.
Let me hear this one again. Let's make sure.
I liked it better.
You actually went to Owen and told him that
He told me
listener-
about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, I would not have admitted that.
Didn't tell me yesterday when we worked together
Son.
or this weekend.
I love you like a little brother.
He said,
I
"This
really
is
do.
Good."
We love you, John.
I like it.
I think that denotes it's time for the next transition.
You got to learn. Yeah, you got to learn, buddy. He ain't telling him that, oh, yeah, call her to coming in hot when you weren't here complain. That ain't going to go over well.
Anyway, next story.
Wemby, 41 points, 24 rebounds, 3 assists in a 122-115 double overtime victory. Deep 3 at the end of the first overtime that I just saw on Twitter. Somebody was comparing that to Steph Curry's near logo shot 10 years ago. Lima, with what we've done, you've seen what the Spurs have done, you've seen what OKC has done. I wonder if your NBA has the best parity, the 7th straight new champions argument is going to be laid to rest over the next couple of years.
After this year?
Over the next couple of years, yeah.
Wemby looks by far the best player in the NBA right now. And Shai Gilgeous-Alexander was a deserving MVP, was incredible again this year. He is on a loaded team. But when you saw him, he went 7 of 23. When you saw those two together on the same floor, like there's no way you could come to any other conclusion than, oh my God, this is this guy's league for as long as he stays healthy, for as long as he stays upright. Because that's always going to be the concern is how
Fabulous player.
Tall guys like that don't last. This is crazy.
Fabulous player. He could be incredible for this league. He can be incredible for the international expansion of it. He could be a multi-time champion. But it's been said so many times over the last 7 years about the next great dynasty. I think that what they've done with the second apron, and you know way more about this than I do, what they've done with the second apron has made it almost impossible to have dynastic basketball like we've had in the past. And maybe that parity comes back and hits them, bites them, because I think you do kind of need a Goliath that a David could take down. But I think we need to stop looking for the next great dynasty. And I don't want to say just enjoy it for what it is, the beauty of it. But, okay, if you win this year, it'd be great. Let's see what you do next year. But until then, can't really do it.
Yeah, Jokic was supposed to win all of them. Giannis was supposed to win all of them. So here we go on to the next iteration of this.
Boston was supposed to win
Tatum and
many
Brown
of them.
We're supposed to win all of them. But watching this guy on both ends, you just simply cannot get good possessions off against him. Then he gets every rebound, even when you box him out. What are you supposed to do with this dude? It's going to resort to just cheap shots, right? Like you just have your tough guys try to come in. The problem is he weighs more than all the tough guys.
Yes, he does.
Because he's just so tall.
Oh, my goodness. The boss is starting to text.
Last night out west, the A's and Angels scoreless through 8. Right-hander JT Ginn for the Athletics. He took a no-hitter into the 9th inning. The A's did score in the top of the 9th, but Adam Frazier singled to lead off the bottom of the 9th, breaking up the no-hitter, and this is what happened 3 pitches later.
Here's a fly ball, center field. It's hit well. Bolte is back near the wall. It's gone! Unbelievable! What a finish! Zach Neto says goodnight to the A's.
Say Sharknado?
Zach Neto.
Oh,
Odyssey
Zach
courtesy of FanDuel Sports West. I
wouldn't have mattered. It's the A's. They don't count.
I hate myself for this take, but I have to say it. Do you take your pitcher out in the 9th inning with a no-hitter just to win the game? I hate saying this. It kills me to say it, but you got to win the game. And this was the most pitches he'd ever thrown in a start.
Oh, after he loses the no-hitter, you got to, take him out. Yeah, I agree with you.
This is the most pitches he'd ever thrown in a start. You'd never thrown 100 pitches in a Major League game before. You got to take him out at that point. I don't know why you would have left him in.
Yeah, it's what we did with Parker Messick. And it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Is this who I think it is? Yeah.
Quickly, I'd like to transition to the phone lines. Go ahead. You're on the air, caller.
I know coming in hot might have suggested a different sound effect. As a supervisor / boss, whatever you want to call me, I'd suggest to get rid of that sound effect. Get it out of the board right now.
I think you need to play it when you bring John in to fire him. I think that would be the sounder.
We've actually compared John to somebody that we used to work with, and that imaging taste right there explains everything.
I got a text. Sounds like someone pulled the lever on a slot machine. We had somebody also compare it to Super Mario Kart, like you're collecting jewels.
The slot machine is perfect. That's the good one.
Never again.
Yes.
I'll never think for myself again.
Keith on the boss. Keith on the Wise Heart Right. We make it right. Call Kyle Right hotline. Yeah, John, you got to learn that. That ain't going to go over well with that guy. Yeah, ain't going to go well with any of us, to be honest with you.
That's it for about last night.
Do you imagine the things we would do if we just let people from coming in hot dictate what to do on the air? It'd be a good 15 minutes.
His way.
Yeah, if Gabe had it. Oh,
the good
God.
news is it's not jarring. It doesn't come out of nowhere. It seamlessly fits right into the rest of the show.
Doesn't it?
Why it pays off.
Seems to fit everything we would do. Coming up at 9 o'clock, Chris Mannix going to join us on the show. SI senior writer. In 5 minutes, the Cavs need the fans now more than ever. Guys, it is pep.
Globetrotters and we're just screwed. Astounding to me.
The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Back of the Fan. Ladies and gentlemen, your Cavs need you now more than ever. And I don't know, I don't mean to throw the gauntlet out, but I'm going to throw the gauntlet out there. You are underdogs in this series. 35% chance courtesy of Vegas that says you can win this series. You're underdogs, and considering what we saw last night, I think a lot of people are saying that we are the fourth best team out of four, the final four that are left in the NBA. So the challenge is thrown out, and there have been years where we would bring that up. During the old years, you know who was here. We would bring these up. We aren't favored in this, that, or the other. Usually it was the NBA Finals. And Lima, you and I would get torn apart. People on the station would get torn apart. This is the problem with the Cleveland media. You guys are against us. This is why you guys aren't real fans. You don't root for us. And now it's been a complete 180. Where it's all, I feel like I'm like, come on, guys, this ain't gonna be that good. Things are not gonna be this good for that long. And if they lose this series, it does feel a little bit like house money. But God, if they would have lost the other night, holy Lord, we would have been talking about tons of different nasty things. And I'm going, man, we're not going to be expecting 50-plus wins for very much longer. This stuff changes very quickly, and I think we have to recognize that. And man, I'm not getting anything. And I'm surprised. I'm a bit disappointed, I got to tell you. But I also know what's going on here. What's the difference? And I want to know from some people. Because they sent 25 busloads of people up there. And I know that somebody had posted that they thought it was a lot of Cavs employees. I'm sure there were a few. But I told you I had man-on-the-street experience in Norton, Ohio on Sunday from a guy who is a diehard Cavs fan. He's like, no, I was on the bus. It was amazing. Did I tell you guys I was on the bus? I was on the bus. And I mean, you can tell it was one of the best experiences he's ever had in his life as a sports fan. I'm glad he got to go. I'm glad I got to see him win. It was a really cool story to hear. And there were definitely people who went on those buses the other night, got to see something really, really cool. It's amazing. What is missing? What is missing? Because we get on there and we start talking, guys, we start talking Myles Garrett, and it was just everybody wanted to get in. And we start talking about the Cavs and talking about the chances and whooping it up. And people either don't want us to do it or they're just saying that we're lying to you and we don't. Well, you're lying to yourselves. You're lying to everybody else. So they're not. I'm going, what is?
Well, I guess what I'm confused.
Happened?
What I'm confused about, and I fought people over the malaise, but I can't deny. Like at some point, you just have to accept the people were in prove it mode. This team has to prove it.
But they proved it. They're in the conference finals.
So what is it about 2 Game 7 wins? Was it harder than it was supposed to be? I don't know. Playoffs are hard. Just ask the Boston Celtics who got eliminated. Just ask the Denver Nuggets who got eliminated. The Lakers who got eliminated. Like, the NBA playoffs are supposed to be hard. You can't let the 4 years of us waltzing through the Eastern Conference with
worried.
LeBron. So what is it about this team that is holding you back? Okay, you might think they're just not good enough. Well, guess what? They get to play the Knicks now and prove that they're good enough. They get to go on the road tonight against one of the fabled, storied franchises, even though we've had way more success than the Knicks have over the last 40 years.
For the good of the fan base. For the good of our morale, they got to take one of these games in New York.
I agree.
Because I have a feeling on Saturday. I don't know. Are you going on Saturday?
Yeah.
You're going? Mm-hmm. I got a bad feeling if they come back down 2-0, down 0-2.
It's going to be all Knicks fans.
Well, it's going to be a lot of orange and blue up in the stands, but it ain't going to be the one that Michael Stanley sang about. And that's going to kill me. It's going to kill me. I'm not going to be there. You'll be there. I don't go to games anymore.
This one would be a good one to go to if they steal one of these first two. So it'd be a fun one to go to.
Saturday night?
Saturday night.
Can I go with you?
You want to go?
I'll kick. No, I don't want to say it out loud. I'm kicking around. I got the family home and all that other crap. They need you, man. They need you. I got to tell you guys, I don't want to beg you guys to sit there and be Cavs fans. I don't want to do that. But there was a time, if anybody said anything negative or even, not even negative, just question their chances. I mean, you get nasty emails, you get cussed out. Someone would find you on social media and blow your stuff up. I mean, they go nuts. And now you say, well, yeah, I think the Cavs have a puncher's chance. They should have a better than a puncher's chance here. The Knicks aren't that great. Hell, their own team, their own fan base thought that they were going to be an early exit. All those national media thought they could be an early exit against the Atlanta Hawks. And you say that, and they go, why are you trying to talk us into something you know is not true, Kenny? Be serious. Be honest with each other. Stop being disingenuous about the Cavs. I'm going, I'm not. It's as wide open as it's ever been. We thought we were going to be playing the Boston Celtics. We're playing the New York Knicks. People are excited about the New York Knicks. There's definitely a lot of people in the NBA media, the national media, who are from New York, basketball people first. New York is a mecca of basketball. They love it there. They grow up with it there. That's how it is. I know that a lot of regions that I'm talking to, and we're in Northeast Ohio, it's a football area. So we take it differently than what New York City would when it comes to football. But in basketball, that's their thing. They grow up Knicks fans, so we have to deal with that. But it doesn't mean that I just watch this expecting the Cavs to lose. I want them to win. I want this to go as far as they possibly can. I'm just not hearing not feeling the same type of excitement that we have in years past.
So I guess when I heard so many people tell me, well, they have to prove it, they have to prove it, they have to prove it, they have to go on the road, they have to win a game. All right, they have checked off these boxes along the way. You might not have liked how uncomfortable these series were. You might have left them for dead. Maybe I did too at points during this.
So is it just because the series went further than we thought they were that people aren't as...
Well, why does that matter?
It shouldn't.
I don't know why it's, hey, I love this team unless it takes more games than I thought
Did last year really take that big of a toll on everybody?
Okay, but that's
what Donovan said? And it is over. And they weren't out-fought last year. They were out-assed. There's a difference. Indiana was good. You got beat by a good team that very well could have beat Oklahoma City in the finals. They came a half away from it. Let the past be the past,
and we can now say we were more physical than the Pistons.
We were more physical than the Pistons, yes. Beat them down. It took 7 games. They're a really good basketball team. They're allowed to be a really good basketball team. If you would have lost to the Pistons, yes, it would have been DEFCON 1. That's a team that started their ascent after you, and they're beating you to the punch. Yes, it would have been DEFCON. But you know what? You won the series. So now I don't have to worry about that. And I'm not hearing the same type of excitement that I have in years past, and it's bothering me. It's really like we have local news on here all the time. Lima works for local news. I work for local news. I got to tell you, it feels a little bit forced. The towels and stuff like that, it's like I'm getting those same vibes that I get from fly-by-night people who come into town and they're going, oh, yeah, I'm a big Guardians fan now. Are you? Because you're from Omaha, Nebraska. Like, I'm getting some of the, and I don't like it. I want everybody to be, because they don't just fall out of the sky, man.
Well, and
who knows the next time you're going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals? Considering the way the NBA is, let me just say this real quick. I mean, look at the Sacramento Kings. They thought they had it fixed finally for the first time in like 25 years just a couple years ago. Now they're terrible again.
But Mike Brown was their head coach.
Doesn't happen. This doesn't happen as often as we think, and I just don't want to take this for granted. You can be critical, and we can bitch, and we can moan. We should as fans, but damn it, we have an opportunity here to set a tone in Game 1.
Well, the other thing I don't understand, and I had heard this over the last few years, is the payroll gets brought up, that they were the highest payroll. They're in the second apron only team in the NBA.
Throw it in their face.
But
yeah.
it was, well, they traded for Mitchell. You're supposed to be here. And I'm like, but there are guys better than Mitchell. Like Jalen Brunson is considered better than Donovan Mitchell. And he's actually outplayed him in 2 different series. Why did trading for Donovan automatically make the fans that entitled that they're supposed to be winning championships? No, getting Donovan Mitchell puts you on a playing field with these other teams. I mean, imagine, like, it's year 5 of Deshaun Watson or whatever when you traded for him to go deep into the playoffs. So let's say in this miracle world of imagination that all of a sudden, finally, this year, they went to the AFC Championship game with Deshaun Watson. Would you not be excited?
I'm serious. Maybe
would you not be excited?
We would be excited. I'm sorry.
So
yes,
why
we
are you
would
not
be
excited here?
Maybe we're talking to the wrong people. Maybe our generation's just spoiled. Because every time we had that guy, it just seemed to be, it was a formality. You were punching the clock. And you were punching your ticket to the NBA Finals. And now it's different. The league is set up different. Parity is different. That guy, the ghost of that guy may come back here, but he ain't going to be the same guy. He can be that guy every now and then, but he ain't going to be that same guy. And it seems that more people want to have that conversation. We're getting ready for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals, guys. Game 1. And it may be a 4-game series. I don't think it will be. Maybe a 7-game series. More than likely, it would be more like that. And I don't know how we're going to come out. Vegas says we're not going to win it. Don't we love being the underdog here? Isn't that our entire life story? Don't we all root for the underdog here? We're not very good at being the team that's the lord of everything and pointing down at everybody. We're underdogs naturally here. I'm not getting the same type of vibrant feeling that I've been getting in years past with the Cavs. And I can't explain it other than the ways I just explained it to you. Maybe we are talking, maybe we were spoiled, maybe your generation, I mean, we're only 5 years apart. Maybe our generation was spoiled by what has happened previously.
So LeBron
and so
ruined
we
it.
hold him.
Another thing to blame LeBron for.
We hold this team always to that, which means guys our age, when it happens again, maybe in 10 years or 5 years or whenever, because you do have an aggressive owner, we're going to hold him accountable to that. Maybe that's it. I think it's unfair. I think it's unrealistic. But I want to get some people going. It is game one, and if you take this home tonight, I mean, good God, imagine what we're talking about tomorrow. You split one of these games, this is a series, and this is a series that you can win, and you could be going to the NBA Finals. Tonight, if you win this thing, it could send people reeling. I know the odds are against you. You played a lot of basketball over the last couple of weeks. They haven't. They've been resting. You come out of there with that win. If Evan Mobley steps up to the challenge, if they go ahead and they beat this New York Knicks team, it has to be a different feeling tomorrow morning. It has to. Because it's going to change things dramatically on the national scope of how they see the NBA. I'm telling you. 216-474-0092. I'm going to get some of you guys in on this. Are you rallying around the Cavs here? Or if you still have the malaise, I need you to explain it to me because we're getting ready for game one. And if you're just not that big of a basketball fan, that's maybe the one that I'll accept. Anything else, I just think is uncivilized. 9 o'clock, Chris Mannix joined us on the show. And I'm usually against helicopter parents. I don't think Coach Prime is that in this case. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima on The Fan.
Great furniture under
11 boards, franchise playoff record 7 steals, including the regular season. The Spurs have beaten the Thunder 5 of 6 times. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during this offseason by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All right, we got people in. I want to get to them. 216-474-0092. You're rallying around the Cavs. Getting a lot of different interesting perspectives why there's a malaise still. Because I thought that would change when they won that game on the road.
When everybody thought you were going to lose.
Yeah. It seemed that a lot of people were ready to say that the Leopard didn't change his spots when they lost Game 6 at home. But they ended up winning the series.
Yeah, don't you have to kind of change your opinion on the narrative of the bigs being out-toughed? Isn't that done forever?
A lot of yes.
Or only winning the championship will change your mind. That's like, man, that's a tough bar. A lot of great teams don't win championships.
I think people's definition of tough is different for a lot of things, though, too. They're playing tough, right? I think people still want to see, like, bully, throw you around, Charles Oakley type of basketball, right? Like, really mixing it up, really putting people on actually tossing people to the floor instead of just playing good, solid, low post basketball.
Owen, you're not wrong. I've heard that. Then you can go root for Detroit. They did some of that stuff last series. You can go root for Detroit this round. You tell me how that goes, because I'm watching my Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals. Like, remember, it was the Pistons. Remember the charge? On the run, Thompson against Merrill. Hey, if that's what suits you, then you can go root for the Pistons. Or walking over our guys on the ground. If that's for you, go root for the Pistons. Those are fun things if you're a Pistons fan, I guess.
I'd rather not.
I'd rather root for the team that I guess isn't as thuggish, but also won the playoff round.
Well, no, I'll take both. I thought they had out physical the Pistons, and they did.
That's the thing. They were physical.
So they killed that argument, which is. It's great. I know that not a lot of people, you're not going to gain trust right there overnight. Fine. But, man, like that narrative is dead, man. They had to be physical with Detroit to win. That was how Detroit was going to try to beat you. And so they out-physicaled them, they out-toughed them, and they won that series. It kills that right there dead in the water. Forget it. I'm serious about that. I'm getting a lot of different reactions. Why? Social media reactions brought to you by
Scheib & Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store.
Somebody said because of the streaming. I'm going to get to the phones here in a second. Somebody said because of the abundance of streaming, it's turned their father off.
I mean, that happened in the NFL. We had a playoff game the last few years, only streamed. And people complained about it. And what did they do? They found it.
And
they watched it.
I'm doing all streaming now, too. But I have them all. So I had access to all the games. It did suck that it bounced around so much. And now that it's going to be on one, it's going to be on a cable channel that also streams, right? I know it's going to be in one spot, and I don't have to go look 5 minutes before and see which provider is it on now. That'll help here, but that has at least dampened some of the pre-game energy towards things too.
Sean on social media said it was because you and I were saying over the last 2 months that the Celtics were insurmountable, and now it's the Knicks. I go, wait a minute, didn't you guys just rip me for saying that I was penciling the Cavs into the NBA Finals? And if I end up being wrong, that's fine. I was an excitable boy. But I've been wrong before. I don't want to be wrong, but damn.
And we'll get to the phones here. I'm sorry.
Well, I didn't spend 2 months saying that it was insurmountable. I wanted to get to the Celtics.
There seems to be some thought out there that if there are other teams better than you on paper, or other teams are the favorites over you, that takes away from the excitement. I don't understand that one.
Well, there was.
That's weird. That's bizarre to me.
Sully had said, I think it's because fans think even if we manage to beat the Knicks, we have no shot versus the West.
I'm sure the Pacers thought that last year, and they absolutely had a shot to beat Oklahoma City in the finals. I'm sure the Toronto Raptors thought that the year they were going up against the Warriors. And Toronto has a banner.
It's surprising to me for the simple fact is, yes, I'm supposed to tell you the truth of how I see it. Yes, I would not pick the Cavs in this series going forward, which is a complete contradiction of everything that I've said in the past because of how excited I was after the trade. So this is a flip-flop.
But you're excited about tonight.
I am excited about tonight, all right? Because you go in as an underdog. The whole world is taking the New York Knicks against you. That'll be pointed out. is that I've become used to saying it and wincing because I know I'm going to get hammered for that opinion before. It's not what I want. Everybody knows I want the Cavs to win, and everybody should know we want the Cavs to win. But before, you would just, how dare you even question them winning the NBA playoffs, winning in the playoffs against this team. And now it's just like, man, you got to talk him into having
Which is weird.
a faith
I
into
never
it.
thought I'd have to talk Cleveland fans, Cleveland sports fans. I never thought my whole life, if you would have told me this 30 years ago, that I'd be on the radio in my hometown, on a hometown station in my city, came back to do this, that I would have to get people excited about being one of the Final Four teams in their sport. I would have laughed. I would have said, well, that's not. Cleveland's a great sports city. That would never be the case. They would be ride or die no matter what.
It's like this.
We're the city that had a parade for a second place team. Yeah. Okay? Not a lot of cities could say that. And all of a sudden we're in the Final Four and you guys like, we don't have much of a shot. What in the world? What has happened? Is this LeBron? Did LeBron do this to everybody? He just made it look easy and we have another thing to blame him for? Is that what it is? I can't come up with another reason because it makes no sense to me. Because you guys will turn around and root for a football team on Sundays that probably don't have much of a shot to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is holding you back here? Baseball. Guess what? The big bad Dodgers are going to be in our way if we kick ass and get all the way to the World Series. You're not going to watch. You're not going to get excited.
Maybe it's just because that's supposed to be a chance. Maybe basketball's down for the fan base.
We've had 7 straight champions in the NBA that are different.
I know, and maybe that's part of it. I wish I could tell you. I don't know what it is. And the only thing I can start to explain it with is that maybe it is a little bit harder to find. So there's been people who've given up on it. I think that's flimsy, though. And I think, frankly, we're talking to a lot of guys our age. I mean, I'm 39 years old. You're 44 years old. We're talking to a lot of guys in their 30s. And even the younger guys, like there are guys listening right now in their 20s. Like, John, what year are you born?
2001.
2001. So there's 24-year-old guys out there who may be listening to this right now. They just punched in at work or just going to work right now. And they've only known the Cavaliers with an exceptional level of basketball. So you and I remember the old days and Andre Miller and all the other things. They might not remember that. I mean, John was a guy who was born in 2001, a guy John's age from Cleveland. Maybe they were born at Hillcrest, wherever. A guy who's from Cleveland has only seen the Cavaliers play at an exceptional level, and maybe they're just like, you know what, my standard is just too high, Kenny. It's just too high. I've seen them go out and do incredible things. I've seen them win a championship as a child, and maybe the standard is just too high. Those are two things that I just have to accept. Now, these things don't fall off of trees, and I think we're about a year away, just over a calendar year away, from having some very hard conversations about this organization and about starting over. And I'm going to try to extend this as long as I possibly can. So I'd much rather have conversations about how to beat the Knicks and all this than anything that we have to get ready for in the future. Because, man, you want to talk about going over draft picks and all that other crap? No one wants to do that. We got to take advantage of this while we can. Nick in a car, you're next up on the Fan. Hello, Nick.
Morning, gents. I got to say I'm surprised that you're surprised.
I am. I'm surprised.
Well, yeah, I mean, the only reason I'm not surprised is just because we've seen this, unfortunately. Like, I'm not part of this, but guys, let's just be real. Like, Cleveland is a toxic fan base. Like, the Browns were winning with Baker, and we ran him out, and he wasn't good enough, and he was too short, and we got to get rid of him.
But I don't remember. Let me contradict you real quick.
We were excited when they went to the playoffs.
Hold on, Nick. They were excited when they went to the playoffs.
I said some of those things about Baker.
And in
didn't mean I wasn't excited.
In 2021, there was definitely a groundswell of people. There was like 4 people I could count off the top of my head, maybe, who wanted to trade him for Deshaun Watson. There was not a lot of Browns fans who wanted Deshaun Watson.
I remember it being a lot worse. I remember it being, we're never going to go all the way to the Super Bowl. He's too short. He's too cocky, blah, blah, blah. And then
Well, it still might be true in Tampa Bay.
What does that have to do with not rooting for a team that's in the Final Four today?
Well, he's using it as an example.
But that's, tell you that again, we unfortunately, I don't know why it is, but the city has a toxic fan base. We have cheered when our quarterbacks have been injured on the field. The Guardians are one of the best franchises in North America. No one goes. Okay? Like, I don't know what the why behind it is.
But you can't even
I'm just
use
that I'm not surprised because
Nick, I've seen plenty of orange over at the stadium now. I mean, I know that not a lot of people have gone historically to Guardians games. I'm not defending that, all right? I know what it is. But damn it, like there have been plenty of people not going to Browns games now. There have been plenty of people that there was conversations before about struggling to fill it up with the Cavs. Like I think that's also city by city by city. I don't know if that's just a Cleveland
thing. They don't go when it gets cold. They don't go when it gets cold. The first 3-4 home games when it's nice weather out, the stadium will be filled up and people will still go. Like I'm just saying.
But when the Guardians are in the playoffs,
I don't know if we don't know how to win because we don't win enough, so we don't know how to win. So maybe we're just trying not to. The only thing I can think of is we're trying to stop ourselves from being disappointed. I mean, the Guardians make runs, and it's like, well, they'd be better if the Dolans would spend money, and it's like, to your point earlier, like, well, LeBron's coming back next year. Like, why? Okay, why? We're in the Eastern Conference Finals with this squad. Why are we thinking about next year? I don't know if it's just because we get disappointed so much in the town that we don't want to get overly excited so that we're not setting ourselves up for disappointment. That's the only thing I can think of. I'm not part of it. I don't think it's acceptable, but it's for me, guys. I just it's unfortunate, but I think we have a very toxic fan base.
Well, Nick, that's how you feel, and thank you very much for the
very
call.
Very toxic radio host.
That's how you feel. No, I don't think. No,
he's right on that.
You've been toxic to me here and there. You were toxic to me at around 6:40.
6:40. Yeah.
I wanted to come over the table at you. You can go listen to that on the free Odyssey app with the Rewind feature, which is powered by Integrated Restoration, your local experts in water, fire, and storm disaster restoration.
Specifically 712 if you would like to hear things really get
they came off the rail. I got very toxic there for a moment. There is a difference, though, in 2016. I'd never seen them win anything. I'd never seen a Cleveland team win it. I mean, you had the crunch and some other things, but you never saw a Cleveland team win anything of the upper level. We didn't know what to do with ourselves. And so we're chasing this thing we've never experienced. Now you have experienced it. So once you've experienced it, it's been a decade, but once you've experienced it, then you compare it all to that. And there have been a lot of people since that happened, since LeBron left. Well, that was like they claim it doesn't count, which is the biggest line of BS I think anybody's ever told themselves. But I'm the king of lying to myself, so I can tell you when I think you're lying to yourself about things, and I think that that's a lie to somebody's self. But things have changed. Maybe we just compare it all to that. Or maybe they're just competitive enough to make us all upset. The Cavs are just good enough to make you care and to make you angry at them, just like I've said with the Guardians in the past. Like, that's the reason people can't stand the Dolans, is you're playing at a same level of a lot of great teams, but when they beat you, it's an ugly thing, and you feel, well, we're never going to get over the hump. They've been a tremendous organization, but they play well enough to what? Get to the playoffs, and then we get our hearts broken, and then you just get mad at the ownership. Wrong? I think it's right.
It's true. I'm just telling you right now, there are 27 other fan bases that would die to be the Cleveland Cavaliers today, and you just got to remember that. You have to put that in perspective. That's not me putting up a banner for it. I'm just saying it's pretty cool to be one of the Final Four teams and being 8 wins away from a championship.
Well, they have Nate Thurman's banner up there. You might as well put a banner up there for that.
That's true. That is true.
Joe in Cleveland Heights. Go quickly. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, guys, I mean, you just touched on it there. That LeBron era, that 2016 was all about doing the impossible, and people just followed in behind on that. But then, we hit a new cruising altitude. But I also think that the trade of James Harden was a big deflation on the season because so many people, including some of your colleagues out there, were all just like, well, now you're going to suffer the consequences. And I have really yet to see that whole story manifest because even in some of the tougher games this season and in this playoffs, he's really shown up, and it's given the other guys the opportunity to show up, get tough, get big, and live up to the expectation of winning the whole thing.
So are you saying that,
to see the rest.
I'm going to take it to an umpteenth degree real quick, Joe. Do you think that some of us are trying to squelch the Cavs and their accomplishments a little bit to cover from looking bad over certain opinions that maybe some of us had over the trade?
I think so. I think some people are a little nervous to prove that right. And
interesting.
Or they've heard the stories and they've seen the evidence was there across all of his career. And it's a shame because I often saw him really putting his body on the line. The rest of the team, I saw a similar thing 3 through most of the championship runs after 2016 for the Cavs, where everybody would just sit on their heels and wait and see what LeBron did. But James Harden's not LeBron. He never was. It's one thing I've always liked about him as a contemporary to LeBron. But I'm really excited to see how this team has come around to get him. And they've only been together for like 4 months.
You know what, Joe? Maybe you have a point there, and I thank you very much for the call, because maybe I should be admitting I'm guilty as charged on one thing. I'll tell you what that one thing is in 5 minutes with Chris Mannix joining us at 9 on The Fan.
local sports talk in town, and you can be a part of it anytime you want. Weigh in on X at 92.3 The Fan and see our hosts make your reaction a part of our shows. Powered by Scheiben Jewelers, Cleveland's premier jewelry store. Headline sports news every 20 minutes from the University Hospital's sports desk. We are Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated. How do the Cavs win this series coming up at 9:01? Remember, all Cavs conversations brought to you by the fine folks at Surfside Hard Iced Tea that ask you to please enjoy that hard iced tea responsibly. 6:20, we had a game plan for it. I think Evan Mobley's the biggest piece to this puzzle. Coming out and guarding Karl Anthony Towns. I was mad at you because I let you take the floor and you took it away from me, you thieving bastard.
Sorry about that.
Nah, you're fine. You're not sorry about it either. We just had a couple of calls because I miss pep rally stuff. I'm a homer. There's a little bit in you. You don't want to admit it, but there's a little bit more in you than you like to say. You're certainly more realistic about a lot of things than I am. I want to do a pep rally. And we just had a call, Joe in Cleveland Heights, and I did say myself, a lot of people, well, me, like, hey man, I penciled them into the finals. And here we are in the Eastern Conference Finals, and maybe I have to flip-flop a little bit because I have to flip-flop. We're not favored in this series. If I'm penciling them into the finals, then I'm going off the belief that they're favored in every series that they play in. I was excited. It was a dumb thing that I've said. I've said dumb things before, and I'll say dumb things in the future. I apologize. I'll try to be better. That pointed out, I did say myself, and maybe I felt the same way a lot of people did at that time in our generation. The league was different. That's the only thing I'll say. But I felt that once LeBron was gone and you and I had these fights, when were we ever going to be really competitive again? When were we going to have a serious look at this
We
thing?
wondered if we were going to be irrelevant for a decade because that's typically how it works in the NBA. So many teams, you can't all be San Antonio where you go from David Robinson to Tim Duncan to Wembanyama, who, if you saw last night, holy cow.
Yeah.
But that's not normal.
It isn't. But it's also teams that, hey, they had to build it because it wasn't that way back in the day. Like, we were one of the final super teams. There are super teams that we all know about. Boston was the originators. Then there was the Heat, which were the biggest. Golden State became a super team because of Kevin Durant, but they were kind of more built in the way that the NBA is built now. It was just different with the salary cap implication, so you could be a little bit more flexible than you can. You could be a lot more flexible than what you can be now. It was just a different time, and we put together a super team. Well, really what you've done in so many ways, hey, you traded for Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell's a great player. Then you found a way to trade for James Harden. You can't call it a super team because James Harden's 36 years old.
Right. And
as I think it was Terry Pluto, who was on Middays yesterday, it's like, hey, the referendums on James Harden are over. He might win a title, he might not, but he's not going to be the number one on a title team. It is what it is now. And I think that Terry said it, and if Terry said it, he was right. Anybody who said it on that show was right because it's the right thing to say. I also remember arguing with you. If we go over the history of this, I remember arguing with you about the fun. Is this team more fun than the LeBron years? Is that team more fun than the LeBron years? And I remember arguing with you at the time because it was all homegrown guys. At the time we started it, when they first started competing, it was Colin Sexton, Darius Garland. Then you went Donovan. Okay, Donovan, but he said all the right things. And it seemed to be everybody else. Now, you brought in James Harden. People, I think you and I might have underestimated how reviled James Harden has been in the league.
Well, which should be crazy because I reviled him.
But I'm going, we're getting a really great basketball player here, and it wasn't like it was a secret.
Yeah.
We talked about it openly, hey, man, you're going to take years off of Darius Garland's career. He's slighter than James. Like, how are we going to trade for anybody that's going to be of a top-notch quality with Darius Garland's injury? And we were able to trade for somebody really, really good at the end of the line.
Look, the case I made,
really, really good.
Yeah, the case I made for Harden was that he was just, by any by any measure of being, fair and balanced on this, right? Objective on this, that he was a better player. He was an upgrade. And he was. And he is. And I don't think anybody could deny it. And as mad as you get about the turnovers, by the way, Stephen Castle had 11 turnovers last night as a point guard, of the victorious San Antonio Spurs, by every measure, he was going to give you a better shot against Toronto and Detroit. And he has. You just can't make him the focal point of the offense, which in a lot of losses in these playoffs, he has been. Well, that just can't be the case. And you notice, by the end of the series, Evan Mobley was bringing the ball up. And I think that might have unlocked some things with Evan Mobley, made him a little more confident. And again, his handle is going to be big in this series, especially when, he has Anunoby on him, and Hart will be on him. And so can he dribble the ball against guys that are shorter than him, that are, fairly athletic, long arms? Like, that's going to be a big part of this series too. But
which he is listed as probable, by the way.
Yes,
Anunoby is.
He's had how many days off? Like 8 days off. This is going to be so exciting to me to see how Donovan Mitchell gets back. He did not have a good series, 3 years ago against the Knicks. Did not shoot it well. Could not buy a 3-point shot. I got to tell you, by the end of that series that we just witnessed, like Donovan had things going on, and he's going to have even better opportunities in the pick and roll against Cat and against Jalen Brunson. And Josh Hart is a tough competitor, but does not have that length and athleticism of Thompson. So I'm looking forward to that. Like, I think this could be a series where Donovan Mitchell can find his footing.
Well, I was also corrected by a producer. It was Howard Beck who was on with Middays yesterday. I heard that on the warm-up show, which you can hear at 5 a.m. with the great Jeff Thomas doing that. 216-474-0092. I do think, personally, I think it comes down to Evan Mobley. Him coming out defending on Karl Anthony Towns, like I told you before. I could say whatever I want to about other guys getting started up. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks do with Donovan Mitchell. Do they come out? Do they trap? Because there's other guys that I have faith in with our depth that you really could take away when it came to Detroit. When they started to really blitz Cade Cunningham in the fourth quarter of those games, and it started to change. You couldn't do it in Game 6 because it was already out of hand. But when you started to blitz those guys, it changed it because your bench wasn't as deep, and you didn't have as much faith in some of these guys. Like Karis LeVert, if he doesn't get hot at the beginning of the game, I know there's been times he's got hot later on, but it's a rare occurrence. I think if you let Sam Merrill get involved early, he's going to give you problems. I think if you let Max Strus get involved early, he's going to give you problems, okay, with the second wave. Those guys are going to give you problems. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks decide to do defensively against us. But again, I think that the biggest piece, not the entire series, but the biggest piece is going to be what they do with Karl Anthony Towns, whether they run the offense through him. I wouldn't be surprised if it's just Jalen Brunson at the top of the key running the offense tonight, just like out of nowhere.
Well, they're going to want to get Brunson isolated on Harden and isolated.
Yes.
And this is a tough. I'll tell you right now off the bat, I am a little nervous about Harden in this series because in the other series he was just fine almost in every game except one where he got matched up against Cunningham, and Cunningham had the 7-for-7. And I think it was game 2, and it was horrible for Harden. But outside of that, Harden held his own defensively in so many of these games. I think it's going to be harder for him because they don't have stationary guys at the wing like Tobias Harris that Harden can just put his forearm out and refuse to back down. And I even think Harden did a nice job closing out on LeVert at times and keeping him away from the basket. These Knicks are very good at cutting and moving without the ball, and Harden can get caught kind of falling asleep. So I'm a little nervous about that, and I am nervous about Harden being isolated on Brunson. That could get ugly. On the flip side, I think Harden can make Brunson look bad. I think Harden can have his way at times even against Hart, because Hart doesn't have that great length that some of the other defenders do.
Chris Mannix, senior writer, Sports Illustrated. He's been a hater. He's been a lover. We'll see whether he loves or hates the Cavs' chances in the Eastern Conference Finals coming up in 5 on The Fan.
today's headline segments. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
Game 1, Eastern Conference Finals. Cavs taking on the New York Knicks. Game 1, ECF in New York. Madison Square Garden.
7.5-point dogs, and the get-in price was like $550.
Should feel like house money.
And I do think...
Does it feel like house money to everybody?
I said I had a strategy, and I don't know if people thought I was crazy on this one. I said I wouldn't mind if tonight is just a hoist them up from 3 game and see if you can ride the hot shooting of Sam Merrill. Hope Harden. Harden's due now again to get going again from three-point line. He had a bunch of shots, good looks in the last game that just kind of went in and out or rimmed off.
Well, you got to give me a good explanation why, because it sounds like when you say just hoist it from 3, it sounds like you're kind of just like whatever. And I don't, it's a playoffs.
Yeah,
and
well,
I don't think that we have time to do. Yes, there is a feeling out process, I'll grant you, but I don't think that we have time to be goofing off.
It's not goofing off because we were one of the teams that shot the 3 the most in the regular season, and in the postseason, by the numbers, we were one of the more unlucky three-point shooting teams. And why do I say that? That's not just me being like a sore loser when things don't go your well and you don't hit shots. It's by the numbers of all the playoff teams compared to shot expectation and quality when it comes to analytics, compared with actual level of skill in how you hit threes. Like the Cavs have been unlucky. They just haven't hit their open threes until they got going a little bit towards the end of the series. And if tonight they can get hot on the road at MSG, silence that crowd, and take a lot of the other factors out of it. Like, we're going to have tired legs. We should. I mean, we've been playing every other day. They've had 8 days off. So that's part of it. What can be an equalizer in games like this? It is being able to get to the line and shoot threes. And that's something with James Harden gets to the line, and you've got a bunch of guys, especially if you go with your floor spacing group. I don't know if that means starting Max Strus because that causes some problems against Jalen Brunson, although he's had some decent moments, but not as decent as Dean Wade. Dean Wade's been awesome against Brunson in the last 5 or so times they've met up with each other. The numbers bear that out. Like, I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world to try to rely on the three-point shooting in a game like tonight, because it also throws the rebounding out of whack too. It can actually, in a perverse way, in a bizarre way, give you an advantage with rebounding, because long rebounds, it's anybody's game.
Okay, that's a pretty solid game plan, I would say. I mean, there is reasoning behind what you just said. I'm fine with that. Now, if they come out and they just shoot threes all day, you're going to have to explain that again. If they shoot threes and lose tonight, you're going to have to explain that again tomorrow. Because I don't want to see, what I don't want to have happen is, I do think that there are plenty of people. By the way, we did get them going. There definitely are the people who are pretty positive, pretty excited, pretty worked up basketball fans. They got in. We wanted to get those guys in. They got in. Was happy to have them. But there still are skeptics out there. Now, that pointed out, and they've got in as well. I don't want to turn tomorrow into told you so. I'm not turning that. I'm not doing that. I do want homerism today. Today's the day for homerism. Tomorrow, I'm not going to sit there and rip on fans or do any of that other stuff, because I don't know how great of a chance they do have tonight. I want people to be angry about hearing that. I got to tell you, because I want fans to be excited about it.
Well, they don't feel that way. If you listen to the Cavs after that Game 7, they were not celebrating, and I love that about them.
They weren't.
And
it felt very
businesslike, like we're supposed to be.
It felt
here.
very mature. It really did. And
yeah, if Detroit would have won that game, do you understand what that would have been like for those young players? They would have been going nuts as if they are putting a banner up. The Cavs were not like that. Give them credit. They were not celebrating like crazy. I know that's something that's a boomer angle. I get that. Like, oh, they're celebrating too much. But you know what I mean. Like, there is a way. I thought Seattle talked about that after they won the NFC Championship game this year, that they actually stayed composed for a team with as many young guys
Wayne
as they had.
Gretzky talked about that in his documentary, because when they finally got over on the New York Islanders, it was like when they saw the year before they finally got over, they were like, why aren't those guys celebrating? It's like, well, they're paying the price. They've paid the price, and now they're relieved that they were able to do it again. there is some maturity there to that. Chris Mannix joins us right now on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Wright hotline. Chris, thanks for joining us this morning.
What's going on, guys?
Nothing much other than this Eastern Conference Finals. I know there were underdogs here, but there's been underdogs that have upset each other in the other series leading up to the Eastern Conference Finals and the Western Conference Finals, for that matter. Chris, how do the Cavs win this series against New York?
I mean, really, if you just bottle most of what they did in Game 7, that it's probably going to be pretty effective. The individual matchups are obvious. You've got to me, Donovan Mitchell has to be the best player on the floor every game of this series. And you've got to get the kind of ceiling-raising game that they've been getting from Evan Mobley in some of these wins in these playoffs. I mean, whenever I talk to Kenny Atkinson, that phrase comes up a lot, ceiling raiser. He just sees, whenever Mobley has double-double, high-efficiency types of games, they tend to play pretty well. And he's going to have a tough matchup. Jared Allen's going to have a tough matchup with Karl Towns, who's having an outstanding postseason, efficiency-wise, scoring, rebounding. He's been a catalyst to what they've been doing in New York. So, I mean, like a lot of what we saw in Game 7, how they clamped down defensively, the stars showed up, the front court dominated another big, strong front court in Detroit. If they can just bottle that performance, that experience, I think they've got a great shot to have success.
Obviously, Chris, so many of these matchups and rounds can change drastically based on the personnel. And there's some things I'm concerned about as a Cavs fan with the cutting and the moving without the ball that a lot of these Knicks players do. I'm a little nervous about Harden defensively that I wasn't so nervous about in the prior series. With that said, I think Donovan and Harden can try to attack guys like Karl Anthony Towns, guys like Jalen Brunson, and put themselves into maybe more advantageous positions than they had the last two rounds. Do you see that?
Yeah, I would agree. I think the Knicks have played great. I also think they've had a advantageous schedule in the first couple of rounds. Look, Philadelphia, their entire season was beating Boston. Like they spent everything trying to get through that series. Really had nothing left, going into the second round. And to the Knicks' credit, like their guys. One thing I heard from people in New York during the season, even during the tough times, is that they believed that their stars could elevate to a different level in the playoffs. They saw them do that last year in the postseason, and despite the fact that Towns was having an uneven season and Mikal Bridges couldn't shoot and Brunson even had his ups and downs when he was battling an ankle injury, they just believed that their guys could elevate, and they have. But they also haven't really beaten anybody to get to this point. I think the Cavs are going to be their toughest test to date in the playoffs. And they're in some ways a matchup nightmare for New York as well. Like, I mean, again, if Allen and Mobley can match the physicality of Towns and Robinson, they're just as talented. I mean, they're able to have success against those guys. And you're right about putting pressure on, Brunson and Josh Hart and whoever is, Deuce McBride when he's out there, whoever's playing in that Knicks backcourt. I mean, you've got to make Brunson defend. They're going to make Harden defend. They're going to make Mitchell defend. You've got to make Brunson defend every possession. Try to get him to foul trouble. Try to wear him down because, look, ultimately, Towns is great. Anunoby's been a tremendous two-way player. Brunson's the head of the snake. Like, if you can erode him and make him a lesser version of himself, then you've got a great shot to win.
Chris Mannix joining us, Sports Illustrated. So I said at the beginning of the show, I thought that Evan Mobley ends up being the most important Cavalier. I'm an overzealous person. Is he? Well, did you agree with that? Do you think he does end up?
I do. I just
really
again, like it goes back to what I said. Granted, like Harden is not the most consistent guy in some of these playoff games. We know that. Mitchell, I think you can count on. I do believe that, especially in New York. I think Mitchell's going to shine playing back in New York City. I think he's kind of salivating for this type of moment. But what Mobley's going to have to do on both ends of the floor is not a luxury. Like, he has to be highly effective, highly efficient, defensively strong when he's got those matchups with Towns, offensively, shooting a high percentage, giving you 15 and 10-10. Like, when he does that, I'd put money on the Cavs winning most of those games, maybe all of those games. But if he has some of the clunkers that we've seen him have, where he's not putting up a lot of points, where he's not, collecting a ton of rebounds, where his defense isn't all the way there, where he looks a little bit kind of checked out on one or both ends of the floor, the Cavs are going to be in trouble. There's no margin for error in a series like this. You can't afford to have Mobley struggle. I think in the games they win in this series, he's going to be outstanding. In the games they lose, I would argue that he's not playing well at all.
Chris, has the fact that the Cavs were able to win 2 Game 7s, we wondered if that would go a long way towards getting fans here in Cleveland bought in on what they've been able to do. Did people take notice of that around the league, or is it still, hey, it was the Raptors and it were the Pistons who hadn't been there before?
I think the Pistons, there was more of a hat tip to, because regardless of what you thought of Detroit, they were the number 1 seed, and in Game 6, they kind of boat raced the Cavs in the second half. So I think that was impressive. Less impressed with Toronto. I mean, Toronto came into the playoffs with kind of the reputation as the worst of the top 6. And I think there was an expectation that Cleveland, would have done better, wouldn't have needed 7 games to knock off Toronto. But against Detroit, that's a physical team, a number 1 seed with a top 5 MVP in Cade Cunningham. There was a lot of respect for how, that team performed, winning those 2 road games at the end of that series. So there's a belief that the Cavs are growing, and there's certainly a belief they can win the series. Nobody's looking at this as being, a coronation for New York. There's no doubt that Cleveland has the talent to match up with them at key positions and to win overall. So I think, as long as there's something left in the tank here, which is something we can talk about, like the fact that the Knicks have been off for 9 days and have just been hanging out waiting for this. I mean, that's a big variable, I think, going into this. But as long as there's something left in the tank for these guys, I think they've got a great shot.
Well, Chris, is there any chance that the rest becomes rust, or is that just wishful thinking?
I mean, Game 1, sure. Even the Knicks, and I was watching some of their press conferences the last couple of days, they don't like this. They don't like being off for 9 days. It's basically that's a double all-star break for a lot of these guys. I mean, they'd rather have only a few days off and stay sharp and get back out there and do their thing. So I think Game 1 is the kind of game you got to jump on them. And that sort of goes without saying, but they're the ones coming off the hard-fought series. They're the ones that are sharp right now. You've got to take advantage of that. The Knicks are going to be more prepared. They've been studying, both these teams for a while. But, if you can find a way to take advantage of some of the rust, some of the legs of New York, just getting back into the flow, you've got an opportunity to win.
Chris Mannix joining us here on the Wise Heart Right, We Make It Right, Call Kyle Right hotline. So I know for a fact, talking to some people, that J.B. Bickerstaff was pretty worked up about playing the Cavaliers. Smelled blood in the water on Sunday, really wanted to win that game badly. It's been a while since Mike Brown's been the head coach of the Cavaliers, and I know he did it twice. Is there any sort of that feeling with the Cavs when it comes to Mike Brown, or is it just, hey, you're the head coach of the New York Knicks, there's plenty of pressure as it is?
Yeah, I think maybe. I haven't really talked to Mike about that, but I agree with you. I think with JB, it was a lot more personal because of how it ended in Cleveland, where he got that team and to the point he got that team, then to be kind of unceremoniously let go after losing to Boston in the second round. There was definitely a lot more feelings, I think, involved with JB Bickerstaff. I mean, Mike Brown, he's been the coach in Cleveland, fired, coach in Cleveland again, fired. He's been around the block a couple of times with the Cavs. And I think going through what Mike Brown's gone through this year, which has been, the ringer there, he's been compared every step of the way to what Tom Thibodeau did last year. And the expectations from January on, when James Dolan said championship or bust, they've been sky high. And New York is a tough place to coach, especially when you're coaching the basketball team out there. So I would guess that Mike is much more focused on just beating whoever's in front of him rather than beating the Cavaliers.
The Knicks, we're talking to Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated. Knicks have been a dynamo at home this year, but I've heard over the years plenty of people associated with New York explaining why MSG also has been a friendly place for opposing superstars. Over the years, I saw get-in price, really it hovers around $600 for the cheap seats in the Mecca, and it's only going to get crazier. So do you buy that, hey, if you can knock them in the mouth a little bit early, punch them in the mouth, get those fans that paid all that money a little bit uneasy to start out, maybe they could turn that home court advantage into an advantage for the Cavs?
I don't know. I mean, I I say this objectively as someone that grew up in Boston and has no love for New York. Like they're the best fans of the NBA. Like they just are. Like they took over Philadelphia. that was insane what we saw over the last couple of days. And this is a city that has been waiting, what is it now, 60 years for a championship. Like they are as hardcore as you possibly get. And sure, they have high expectations. They'll boo you if you're not playing well. But the second that tide turns with a couple of shots, like they are right back into it. And that place is electric. I mean, it works the other way, to your point. Like opposing players love going there. Like it's, not every player wants to play there as a Knick, but every player wants to play there and win on that floor. It is just it's an experience being at Madison Square Garden and playing in that arena. That's why I'm looking at Mitchell, and I think Mitchell has the chance to have, he already had his kind of statement game in Game 7, the biggest game of his playoff career. I would bet he's eager for this opportunity to play at MSG back in New York and to kind of put a dagger in the hearts of some of these fans that he grew up probably like in some ways, living and growing up in that part of the world. So I think it's a great opportunity for a visiting team, but I would not count on any of these fans to slow down. They are maniacal in ways that I don't think any other fan base is maniacal in the NBA. And I would encourage, be ready because they're coming to Cleveland. Like no matter what, I have probably 5 or 6 friends that are Knicks fans, and they're just as maniacal as I'm describing, and they have already booked hotel rooms for Games 3 and 4 in Cleveland. So one way or the other, they're all going to be coming out to Ohio.
Yeah, a bunch of them are going to try to stay at Jerry Ferrara's house, apparently, according to the text earlier today. One final note, Wemby, what can you say about him last night?
I mean, I've covered Wemby since the beginning. I've written about him for the cover of SI once and other features a couple of times. I've seen that was the greatest thing I've seen him do. And, one thing I love about him is the fact that when some guys are asked the question about, did Shea getting the MVP bother you? They would punt on that question. He leans all the way into it. He's like, yep, exactly what you said. That I felt that. I wanted to perform because I believe I'm the best player in the world. I believe I'm the MVP. This guy is unequivocally the best player in basketball. He's 22 years old, and he is the most dominant player in the game. What he did, the 28-footer last night in overtime to set up the double overtime. He had 3 blocks. That's if the Thunder just stopped contesting or going to the rim trying to score on him. He is something, and we say this a lot, Steph Curry came along, LeBron came along, guys come along that are unique. There's never been anything like Wembanyama before, and I'd venture to say we're never going to see anything like him again. He is set up to be the dominant player over the next 10 to 15 years in the NBA.
Chris Mannix, follow him on social media, read him on Sports Illustrated. Chris, thank you very much for the time.
You got it, guys.
Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated. Weishart right, we make it right. Call Kyle Wright hotline. Coming up in 5 minutes. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Friends, Ken Carman here for Window Nation.
So if you are interested in reaching sports fans, we have the playbook for you. Check out our comprehensive ebook, State of Audio, Sports Fandom. Check out stateofaudio.com.
Count down the hours until tip-off with us, Baskin and Phelps. Weekday mornings starting at 10. Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Matchup nightmare for your Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, Chris Mannix thinks that. I'm going to play that Chris Mannix for you here in a moment. However, Jeff Teague on the Club 520 podcast, former NBA. Hey, we played Jeff Teague stuff before. He says we're going to have a real big problem tonight with Jalen Brunson.
They don't got nobody that can guard Jalen Brunson. Yeah. It's over with. I want James Harden to get to the finals, but ain't nobody on that team guard Jalen Brunson. They don't have nobody.
Yeah. If they play Keon Ellis?
Man, it don't matter. They can go get Perry Ellis. It don't matter who the hell.
Damn, shout out to Perry Ellis.
Dale Ellis. They ain't got nobody to guard him. Donovan Mitchell can't guard him. They gonna put Matt Strus on him? No way.
Christmas.
They gonna put Dean Wade? No way. Jalen Brunson a different animal than Cade Cunningham because he got other weapons. Like when he get in that pick and roll with Cat, he can pass it back to Cat. Cat gonna hit a three. Mitchell gonna roll for the lob. Like they got different threats, and that is ran to perfection for him. Like it's gonna be a different animal, man.
Well, I don't want to agree. The Perry Ellis line, though, was hilarious.
Say Ellis
so let's call it what it
should have been the next one.
Ellis Burks would have been great. However, Chris Mannix, though, who covers the NBA, he may disagree. Chris Mannix, Sports Illustrated with us just about 10 minutes ago, said the Cavaliers are a matchup nightmare for the Knicks.
They're in some ways a matchup nightmare for New York as well. Like, I mean, again, if Allen and Mobley can match the physicality of Towns and Robinson, you know, they're just as talented. They're able to have success against those guys. And you're right about putting pressure on, you know, Brunson and Josh Hart and whoever is, you know, Deuce McBride when he's out there, whoever's playing in that Knicks backcourt. I mean, you've got to make Brunson defend. They're going to make Harden defend. They're going to make Mitchell defend. You've got to make Brunson defend.
All right, what do you think, Tone?
So there's no doubt that Jalen Brunson, he's been playing exceptionally well, and he's been more consistent than Donovan has been. And he's got two series where you could say he outplayed Donovan Mitchell straight up. One was when he was on the Mavericks, and one a few years ago, famously, was when he's on the Knicks. I don't know what happened to Donovan that series, like shot 20% from three-point line. He had one big game to start out the series and then struggled, you know, the rest of it. In this case, like Jalen Brunson is going to be a very tough matchup. He is operating at the full capabilities and full powers. He's shooting 40% from three. His pick and roll game has been on point. Now, the last time we played the Knicks, and we had Harden, and we won, I think it was at MSG, but Dean Wade was a terror on Jalen Brunson. The problem is, they probably want to start Max Strus so we can get our offensive lineups going to begin the series, because that was huge against Detroit. We finally had a lead early on in the game, and we were able to kind of coast from there. And then Dean Wade came in and gave them very serviceable minutes. So this is a big debate that I think the Cavs are having internally, because all their plus-minus numbers are showing that they are a better team when Dean Wade is on the floor. But does it feel that way? Because we've gotten down in so many games, and those have been losers.
I think a lot of people would actually be, if they're just watching the games and not looking at the box scores, I think a lot of people would be surprised that the plus-minus, you're saying the plus-minus is better with Dean Wade than Max Strus? Yeah. I think a lot of people would be very surprised to hear that.
Yeah, and, you know, Max is temperamental with the shooting, and he can God, he's such a try-hard, but that also can work against you if you're overly closing out, if you could be out of position, right? The Knicks can take advantage of that, especially when they start swinging the ball around and everything. But Max also gives you these hustle plays that no one else on your team can give you. So you got to take that into consideration. You're not a perfect starting five. Nobody's ever accused them of that. And so you're going to be giving up something either way. But mentally, what would be the philosophy about really getting after the Knicks early? Is it starting Max and then having Jalen kind of have his way in screen and roll, but then you're getting the shooting and the spacing? Do you see how There's no right answer
well,
here.
What do you think that they've done differently? I don't mean to turn this into an interview. What do you think that has helped them so much more differently? Is it just a different look with Karl Anthony Towns who's been running the offense?
Well, so they're inverting it, right? They're pulling him out, and they're pulling.
This is nitty-gritty basketball. This is ball nowhere stuff here, man.
They're pulling another big way out, and then it allows their offense to get going with cutters, because Anunoby, when he is healthy, he has been moving really, really good without the ball. And we know if you just say we're not going to guard Josh Hart, much in the way that Detroit was hoping to use Thompson, Josh Hart is great off the ball. And what does he do? He kills you on offensive rebounding. For someone who doesn't have the size, he kills you because he has a knack for knowing where the ball is. We all remember the amount of big plays he made in that series, 3 years ago. But he's had his ups and downs. There have been times this year where the Knicks fans have been like, get him out of the starting lineup, Josh Hart, because he's such a zilch offensively when it comes to shooting. So I think that's just another consideration. But I think if you can lock Karl Anthony Towns up and get in the passing lanes, now all of a sudden bringing him out works against you, because what are you not doing? You're not getting offensive rebounds.
True. All right. Did you like what I threw in there with Mannix about the coaches?
Well,
because I had to sneak it in there that JB Bickerstaff. Now it's been years since Mike Brown's been the head coach of this team, so I don't think there's nobody like in the organization was around here the last time Mike Brown was coach of this team, right? Been a long time. It
was before the LeBron return.
Yeah,
right?
so it's Dan Gilbert and that's it. Like everybody else
was Kobe a member of the front office?
I don't know if he was. He might. He might
wasn't
have been
in this role.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
he might have just been
come
a helper
over from Phoenix, right?
Yeah, so he might have been in some aspect, but probably not. I'm guessing. I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm guessing he wasn't. I do know it was very personal for JB Bickerstaff. Now he wasn't going to say that much about it, but it really was, because I think for JB Bickerstaff, he looks at this like, I helped build that team, and maybe he feels he doesn't get the respect. And also, I mean, he said some serious things, and there were some serious allegations against Guy's Hart out the door when he was no longer the head coach of the Cavs.
Which was really nice in that postgame. We never got to it yesterday because we had so many other things. He had to say it. He had to say Jared Allen's name, and he had to commend him on his play in that Game 7. And let the record show. For all the people doubting the Cavs and whether they could do this or that or win a road game, you won 2 Game 7s, and who has showed up big in both Game 7s? Jared Allen. The lights are too bright. And now he's coming back to the scene of the crime. Now Jared Allen is going back to MSG. You've got Donovan Mitchell.
Boy, that's a hell of a
Where
point.
is his girlfriend going to be sitting? Because somebody pointed out on social media, I'll give him love when I can find it. Somebody earlier was like, oh, it's like Popeye with the spinach. When his girlfriend is there.
Fiance.
Yes.
They're getting married.
Yes. When
Correct.
she is there, it turns into a different Donovan Mitchell all of a sudden. He's been enjoying.
When he brought her up in the post game after Game 7, she told him, "We're going to be in New York anyway, so you might as well be playing basketball."
Lima, are you saying that Donovan Mitchell has the Jordan Poole effect?
What's the Jordan Poole effect? I'm sorry.
Oh, John, let him know.
Jordan Poole elevates his game when attractive women are courtside and watching him play.
Well documented.
Are you serious?
It's like a real meme thing that this happens.
So is this almost like the Nick Castellanos thing when it comes to baseball?
It's exactly like the same thing.
So when there's, do they have to be famous, or are they just attractive?
They're usually famous, but everybody will make the joke if there's an attractive woman sitting courtside.
That Jordan Poole's all of a sudden going to ball out?
Yep.
I didn't know that. Well, that's not just any woman. That's Coco Jones. That's his fiance.
Are Cavs fans going to be?
Now that's analysis.
His fiance. Wow, Ken.
I know fiancés.
Yes, he does.
Send him over to Peter Covey Jewelers.
Go on over to Peter Covey Jewelers.
I think, honestly, and Mannix, what I was trying to allude to with Mannix, he wasn't really accepting it, was that building gets tight when the Knicks don't play well. But they do. They turn it around. Like, it just takes a couple of shots. That place starts going nuts.
But that's part of them having the, quote, he said best fan base in the NBA, right? As far as in the building. They'll also turn on you if we can put them in the backs against.
Well, Christmas Day, of the losses we have, Christmas Day was the most memorable one. It was Christmas Day, but it was also, dude, you're up by 17. That place was quiet, and then it was a madhouse in there.
That building also was done with Karl Anthony Towns, during times of his.
It was.
I've seen, now talk about some memes. I've seen some stuff with that guy on the internet.
John, keep your microphone off.
I got
this
nothing.
time.
Like, you guys realize, you saw what both Evan Mobley and Jared Allen were able to do in terms of drawing fouls in that series. And I think everybody could admit in Game 7, like, those were fouls. Detroit was just hacking the you-know-what out of the Cavs. Karl Anthony Towns, when you talk about brain-dead fouling, has been one of the elites that I've ever seen. That guy has the dumbest fouls. We keep sitting here talking about this series and how great Karl Anthony Towns is. That dude could have 4 fouls in a quarter. I've seen it with my own eyes. And the way that Mobley and Allen are playing, like, I wouldn't count that out. And it changes the complexion of a playoff game.
We're short on time, but do you want to power rank those brain-dead foulers?
Let's go.
Karl Anthony Towns, Karl Anthony Towns, Karl Anthony Towns, Karl Anthony Towns. He really is. Well, I'd say Max Strus, 90 feet from the basket.
That's true,
he committed
too.
about
but
5
he
of those.
seems to have had a little bit of info pumped into his brain to stop doing that.
And then Karl, the mannerisms after he does it. Like the hands out. Remember, the Knicks fans had memed like his expression and his gyrations after each one of those. So just remember that. Like the way your bigs are playing, I wouldn't be shocked if he's in foul trouble a bunch in this series.
You have a long memory, and someone here has something very strong to prove coming up in 5 minutes on The Fan.
Brad Evans.
923thefan.com.
And I think Mitchell has a chance to have, he already had his kind of statement game in Game 7, the biggest game of his playoff career. I would bet he's eager for this opportunity to play at MSG back in New York, to kind of put a dagger in the hearts of some of these fans that he grew up probably like in some ways, living and growing up in that part of the world. So I think it's a great opportunity for a visiting team, but I would not count on any of these fans to slow down.
I've been very critical of Madison Square Garden before and how tough it is. I'm like, man, some of the greatest players in the history of the league have used your building to blow up their own legacy and to basically embarrass you. I mean, Michael Jordan used to come in there and rip their hearts out. It felt to me like when I was a kid, it felt like every single year. Which, by the way, can I mention something here? I think we find – so my generation, Owen, do you think that LeBron was the greatest ever?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, yeah. So
it's tough to put him over Michael, but I do barely.
You're right. You've said that LeBron's the greatest ever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I've finally come across the aisle because my feeling is once you say it, then you can't really take it back because you're playing against a ghost. Like Michael can't come back and play one-on-one. I already saw this, and this is great. This is what makes you love the NBA, is the gatekeeping that goes on. Real Xavier P, who listens, and we love him, he brought up, now, did Chris Mannix say that Wemby was going to be better than LeBron? Did he say that in the interview with us at 9 o'clock?
He said he was the best player in the league, and he was 22 years old.
And he was going to be the best player in the league for years to come, right? Because he pointed out, Xavier points out the 07 Cavs, and it was like, hey, he ain't dragging that team to the NBA Finals. And I'm like, hey, that's fair enough, but I don't think that he's mentioning LeBron. I go, oh, my God, we're doing it. This is going to be so great. When you're a 60-year-old man and Wemby is 35, 37 at that time when you turn 60, Tone, like it's going to be a conversation. It seems that it will be. Let's not go too much in a hurry here. A lot of things got to go his way. But I think it's going to be that conversation for our generation where it's like, okay, it was Michael and Bill Russell or whoever, Michael and Wilt, and then it becomes LeBron, Michael and Magic.
Probably
Kareem, right? Yeah.
And it was very much Kobe got brought up into the conversation.
Kobe got brought up, but it's like in the timeline, it's really felt Michael, then LeBron, then who? And there's other guys mentioning that 100%. Michael, LeBron, then who? And I can already see myself going, hey, you guys don't know what LeBron did. I mean, you haven't seen me. Like, I find myself agreeing with Xavier P., but I'm going, he didn't even mention LeBron. He's just saying he's going to be the next great thing.
Yeah, and you know how this works. Like you can make the argument that Luka burst onto the scene and was actually better earlier than LeBron, which was crazy. We never thought that could be possible. But what has happened to Luka since? And Luka has gotten to one NBA Finals, and that's it. And now dealing with injuries. And it's like, when is he going back to the NBA Finals? Forget, let alone winning championships. And so Wemby, at his age, I mean, this is the best defensive player I've ever seen. Like, I don't even know this stretch that he's had over the last 2 years, especially. I don't know how you could play better defense than what Wemby does. And then now you're adding, he's hitting clutch shots. He's getting every rebound. And it does. You watch him and you're like, that's unfair. He had Caruso, who's a great defensive player, one of the best in the league. He had Caruso on him in overtime, and it was just throw the ball within 30 feet to Wemby, and he's going to collect it and throw it down, and there's quite literally nothing you can do other than take cheap shots.
Did he or did he not?
What are you supposed to do about that?
Did he or did he not play against grown men in France?
The levels, I wouldn't say grown men all the time.
Because I was going to go, well, we got to catch up now. We got to let our kids play against adults here and make them even better. Just wondering.
They were very careful with his development. Like they knew at a very early age. They didn't want to push the cart before the horse on a lot of that stuff. And as you can see, like everything they've done has worked out to perfection. He is way better than anybody thought he would be, and we always thought he was going to be good.
Young Wemby was the litmus test to those who really, really love basketball and those who really like basketball. Like, you were watching Wemby in Europe. Like, Bill Simmons was watching Wemby in Europe. I wasn't. Like, no, it wasn't going to happen. And I know that his games were kind of hard to find, but then there were a few of his games that were just like on ESPN2 or on ESPN late. And so you would watch a little bit of Wemby, but I never, because I'm like, well, the Cavs ain't going to get him. No big deal, out of sight, out of mind. And I see this go, oh, my God, this kid is amazing. All right, tonight, we do have to focus on the Eastern Conference Finals because we're playing the Knicks tonight. the most important Cavalier, in my estimation, for Donovan, this is the answer to both questions. Donovan probably to the rest of the country is the most important Cavalier. He also probably has the most to prove. Like, we talked about most important, most to prove, though, and I keep going back with a lot of, like, Jared Allen has had 2 incredible Game 7s. Now, I don't know if it's going to get to a Game 7. I hope it doesn't. I hope the Cavs win in 4, but obviously things change. Do the comments about the bright light still stick out to some people when it comes to Jared Allen?
I don't know how that's not gone
because he's been fabulous. I just want to make sure. He's been fabulous. He has completely outplayed his contract. He probably is the best value in the NBA for his contract. That pointed out, he was the guy who admitted that the lights were too bright for the Cavaliers a few years ago. And I think that's kind of gone away from Cavs fans. But if there's a struggle there, it's going to be the first thing some goofballs bring up here. Like tonight, if they lose tonight, I'm not going to sit there and freak out tomorrow morning. I'm not going to lose my mind. I think some people will. I'm not. It's the early part of a series. Your first 2 series have gone 7 games. If they get close and they lose, I'll probably be very frustrated if they're close and they lose. And now if they win, I think I'm going to celebrate like it's a party because, oh, my God, you've played that many basketball games in that amount of time, and you went out there and you delivered the first punch on the road, silencing that crowd. I mean, I'm going to go crazy.
And then
tomorrow.
you're 3 wins away from competing for a championship.
Then 3 wins away from competing for a championship.
We don't debate anymore. We're like, yeah, they are a championship contender.
So that might be part of the fun. I'm just thinking about guys who have something to prove. Like Donovan going back to New York is, his father has worked for the Mets for a very long time. It's fish in a barrel. That guy has something to prove to the NBA, to New York, to everybody. Definitely has the most to prove on the Cavaliers. But I think for some of us, it's like, man, Jarrett has had a really nice postseason. He's had a really good season, but he's had a really nice postseason. Boy, just one little extra dragon that could get slayed if he goes out there, plays his ass off, plays physical against Mitchell Robinson or anybody out there and is able to answer the bell against this Knicks team. It would be great.
Here's what I love. We just saw at the end of that series, Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris look physically and maybe mentally gassed, right? And we were wondering if that was going to happen to Harden and Mitchell. Instead, it happened to the Detroit guys, and Cade Cunningham's young, and happened to him. And now the Cavs, like this should be tough, like playing every other day for 3 straight weeks. That should be, and it'll end up being 4 straight weeks. That is brutal from a scheduling standpoint, and the Knicks have had all this time off. But Evan Mobley and Jared Allen seem to be getting stronger. And Donovan Mitchell, towards the end of that series, seem to be getting stronger. And just keep your eye on that, because the last 2 years, Mitchell has been on fumes at the end of 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And now he's broken through that glass ceiling. Let's go.
A little bit of the James Harden difference.
Let's go.
A little bit of the James Harden difference. Big thanks to Chris Mannix, who joined us today. Jason Layson-Joyd will join us tomorrow.
How much fun is this going to be tonight, though, Kenny?
Come on. If the Cavs win, it's basically 4 hours of Cavs tomorrow. If it doesn't go our way,
we got to get it going.
We got to think about helicopter parents coming in tomorrow, which ain't going to be fun.
We got to get it going.
Let's get it going.
Let's go.
Let's get it going.
This is going to be fun.
Wake your dead asses up and let's go.
They are going to be showing those celebrities courtside for the Knicks. And if this thing gets away from the Knicks tonight after all that rest, they are going to be Panicky Pete Davidson. They are going to be panicky in that arena. All those people sitting in the rafters that paid $600 to $800 to $1,000. If Donovan Mitchell puts on a show, a virtuoso MSG performance, do you know what that building is going to sound like?
We'll talk about it all tomorrow. Big thanks to Owen. Thanks to John. Thanks to Jeff. For the Slippery Wizard, Anthony Lima, I'm Ken Carman. Have a wonderful day. Go Cavs!
Let's go.
Game 1 tonight. We'll get into it tomorrow. Go Cavs! Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Matchup nightmare. Hey,